Oh, look who's in control. Me. Welcome to a Arsenal Fan Circle Thursday night forum. We got Ray over there from Ireland via Pennsylvania. Stan down there from the UK, Peckham to be exact. And he's in Vancouver, Canada.
Don't give away too much information, Tony. We're in the
I'm not
Yeah.
giving
middle of
away too
the
much.
program. We're in the
Well,
Fucking
everybody
programs.
always asks where we're from, so
postcode would be
not
next.
away.
You know.
How you doing, Ray?
I'm doing well. Listen, still not 100%, but I'm getting there. Stan did a great job last Thursday. Gary did a great job on Sunday, and now
So
it's
no
over the
pressure.
weekend. So
No pressure,
maybe we
Tony.
pushed our luck, Stan, did we?
How are you doing, Stan?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Well, I say I'm good. You know, my usual beer is the Red Truck IPA. Went into my local liquor store and found out that there's a strike. They're not delivering stuff from the warehouse. So this week I'm actually drinking something which is called Fat Tug, which they serve it in the bars here. It's quite a popular one, and it's quite embarrassing when you have to ask a young waitress if it's okay
For a
for you to
fat
have
tug?
a fat tug, please. What would you like, sir? I'll have a fat tug, please.
That wouldn't be the first time you asked for one, though, Stan.
Yeah, not in these circumstances, anyway.
On this flight, we are not serving that beer on this flight, so we can't ask for that. What have we got today, Tony? Come on, you're the host.
We got Europa preview. We got buying, selling, culture club. Basically, if you think what culture's bought, if you like that. We have buying or selling pretender, or we have pretenders and contenders. Ray thought it was just for us, but it's kind of for the top 4 or 5 clubs. And that's pretty much it. Besides our transfer talk, then we're to have our lovely upset challenge, picking who's gonna win this weekend.
Yeah, Premier League. All right, take it away, Tony.
Which one you want to start with, Ray? You want to start with transfers?
Your show.
Okay, we got Pepe going away to France. We have to pay part of his wages. Nuke or Leicester was interested in him, willing to pay all his wages, willing to have a obligation to buy, but no, we turned to France because Pepe wanted to go to France. So, Ray, what do you think of that one?
Look, I think there's a certain amount of the player has to feel comfortable in his destination where he's going. And you've got two options, Tony, Stan, Leicester City, or you're going back to a country that you know well in France. And you have played well with Lille before. So he's going back to Nice. So that's the decision that has been made. It's a year loan, and there is no option to buy, right? So
Nope. It's one of these perpetual loan things we've been doing with these players. We just keep loaning them out until they're 12 months left on their contract. Then we can't get anything for them, basically. Usually end up buying out their contract. So
it's no secret. I really like Pepe. I was gassed when we got him, but of course that was a previous regime. And with hindsight now, we can see all of the flaws within that regime. It was Raul working his magic, 72 million for Pepe.
Can I ask you a question, Ray?
Yep.
You said that you were gassed, right, when we got him. Can I ask why? Was it the price tag? Because that's why I was gassed. I'll be honest, I never heard of him. I just thought, wow, 72 million in this player. Wow.
So we got Raul got him in August, I think 3 years ago now, in August 2019. And I had heard about him around about January time. I actually wanted Arsenal to go get him in the January window because he was turning up for Lille. He scored quite a few penalties, but he was scoring some very fast breakaway goals with Lille. Had pace, had skill. I thought he was exactly what we needed to speed things up, to catch teams in transition. But of course, hindsight's
Has someone got
2020.
the TV on?
No.
I can hear other talking.
I can too as well. Uh,
Shut this door.
yeah. So listen, he was a big goal scorer, a big name with Leo, and yeah, I was gassed about it at the time, Stan. But hindsight now tells me a lot of the players we had 3 years ago have not been good enough. We've transitioned from some shocking players to who we have now. You know, going from Colonel Mustard, Mustafi to Saliba, going from Lacazette and Aubameyang to Gabriel Jesus. We see the difference in mentality. We see the difference in that elite quality that they have. So, but yeah, listen, I wish Pepe really well. It was not. He was not a situation where he was going to fit into our system, and Arteta really didn't feel like he was a fit for us in the end of the day.
Stan, your takes on Pepe and his
Well,
time with us?
one of the things that I heard was in order to make the loan deal work is that he's taking lower wages to make the deal work. I think the club that he's going to are paying the bulk of the wages. We're still making a contribution. And I think it's probably the best move for him, right? I mean, it's a shame that he didn't want to go to Leicester because we could have maybe used that to maybe bring through a Tielemans deal or something of that nature. But I think he's probably done with the UK for a while now. Nicola Pepe, it hasn't really gone well for him. His career's not really progressed for 3 years, really. It's kind of just stagnated. He's been treading water for 3 years. I think he's been given enough chances to see whether he can fit in this Arsenal team. And it doesn't look like that he can for whatever reason. So if he's going to go off to France, and that frees up a space, and that means that we have to get our finger out to make something happen to fill that space, then I'm all for it. But it is a shame that we couldn't at least have got some kind of option or obligation to buy, because we could be back in the same situation again in a year's time. We're just basically putting it off. We're not sort of like actually fixing it. But if that's all we can get at the moment, and as I say, as long as we're bringing in someone else in that kind of a position, then it probably makes sense.
I mean, there's good and bad to this. If you have an obligation for the club to buy, then it's usually a set amount, right? 15, 20 million, whatever it would be. He's going to play for a full year now, and he could tear up that league a little bit, and we could get a little bit more than 20 or 15 or 20 million based on whatever kind of impact he does have in League On.
I don't think we'll get that much with just a year left on his contract after that loan's over.
Yeah.
As you heard us say, Stan?
Say again, Tony?
I said, as you heard us say, you're to say something there.
No, I'm good. No, I'm good.
He was one of those players, though, like who would have a run in the team, and he wouldn't pass the eye test, but at the end of the day, he would have come up with an assist or a goal and had some impact in the result at the end of the day for us.
Yeah,
But
2 seasons ago, he got 10 plus goals, 10 plus assists. I think he probably could have did that last year, given Saka some rest. Maybe he didn't fit the team, but he at least could have came in and give Saka some rest if he wasn't providing us with goals and assists, which I think he would have. But Arteta just never liked him. I don't know if it's because he was just laid back, kind of an introverted guy. I think that's why he's happy to just go back to France, make a little less money, but play soccer more.
I think that's exactly it, Tony. He's very introverted. We've seen from the All or Nothing documentary that Arteta likes players who are excited, feel enthusiastic about being at Arsenal, because you want to transmit that. If you're an employee of the club, if you're playing for the club, you need to transmit that you're there and you're willing to give 110% every day of the week. And Pepe may have wanted to give that, but he didn't show it outwardly.
Well, they
I,
say there's some situations, right, where, for example, I've heard stories where they say that Patrick Vieira was a very poor trainer. And also, I heard another person talking about that Tony Adams wasn't really a particularly good trainer, but come the match, you would get out of him. Maybe Mikel Arteta is the sort of person that he doesn't play that way. You have to earn the right to play come the weekend. And if he's not seeing what he thinks is full application and carrying out of instructions during training, maybe that hinders you from getting the
yeah,
opportunity in the first team. Maybe he doesn't. There is no Vieira effect within our team, and he doesn't look at it that way.
yeah, he's always mentioning training, what players are doing in training. It's definitely very important to him. I think it's over important because some people just don't give all their energy to practice because that's what it is. It's practice. You're training. You should know most of the stuff already. To me, as long as you go out in the game day, perform well, that should be enough. But that's not the way he sees it. I mean, we hear him talking about training all the time, pre-game, post-game. Doesn't matter. You always hear him talking about what's going on in training. So, who do we want to replace Pepe?
Just another point as well. When you see pictures on the training ground or video clips, and you see like maybe Mikel Arteta was talking to another player, and they're each sat on the football, using the football as like a small sort of like seat or stool to talk to each other. Some
Yeah.
managers, for example, I think it's Eddie Howe, you can't do that there. You're not allowed to sit on footballs. So each
Yeah.
manager has their own little thing, So
Rules.
they just have their own little quirks, their own little rules, their own things. Like I saw someone else saying about how in our changing room we have the crest on the floor, and there was some fans from sort of like North America were saying like they found it really strange because in ice hockey you're not allowed to do anything like that, i.e. walk on the crest or walk on the badge.
Yeah.
Whereas in football, it's just part of the decor to have it on the floor. So it's just different things, right?
Yeah. So, Stan, Tony was asking, who do you think we should target now that Pepe's moved on?
Oh, well, the Cody Gakpo guy will now be available because I think Ajax lost their Champions League qualification game. So there was a decision on him pending what was happening, and they lost, I think, their second leg to Rangers. So they're out. So he could be now available. But there's a lot of talk, isn't there, about this Neto from Wolves. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, again, I like it that he's oven ready. There's none of that settling. He's only got to drive from Wolverhampton, Birmingham, down the M1 to London. No settling in. Knows the league. There is the question mark, though, isn't there, about a quite a serious injury that he had to his knee. I think it was his knee, a bad knee injury. So there could be a question mark there. But, I mean, I think I might have said it the other week. What about the option of not getting a winger? And what I mean by that is if Marquinhos is showing himself to be better than the levels of under 21 and under 23, and perhaps could be another rough diamond that shines quite early. And what I mean by that is, as in Martinelli, Martinelli initially was going to go out on loan, but he started to show, people in the club that he could do more than that. If Marquinhos, but what about we save the winger money? We use Marquinhos as a backup and see how he fares up until January. So he'll have Carabao Cups, the Europa League, to get minutes so we can have a good look at him. And meanwhile, we use that money that we would have spent on a winger to bring in another forward, another striker. Because I do think that we are short there. And we still continue to go for another midfielder because the rumours are there's another two coming in. So we continue looking at a midfielder, but we switch to Marquinhos as a backup, break glass when needed, have a good look at him. And then come January, if that's not quite working out, then we could look again at a wide player, having already brought in a striker. And I like the more I hear that, the more I kind of like it. It's just about, dispersing our funds where we really need them.
Yeah, that's what I originally mentioned a couple of weeks ago. To me, Marquinhos was doing good in preseason. Did good in the under 23s, then the under 21s. Seems just as good as Martinelli was, a little bit bulkier. He's maybe not any taller, but he looks bulky. We need kind of that up front. Saka definitely needs rest, so we definitely need somebody there. I think Marquinhos would be fine coming in for 30 minutes and giving him
Yeah, but
Europa and Cup games.
I think we need more than that, though. Marquinhos is definitely going to make a mark this season.
What about the player we're being linked to? We're being linked to Zaha.
Zaha is
But let me
one.
ask you though, Raider, if let's say we did bring in another wide player, do you think there's still enough to go around then for Saka, this mystery wide player, and Marquinhos to still get minutes? Or are you sending Marquinhos out on loan? And if we are sending him out on loan, we've only got a week to do it in, right?
No, I'm keeping Marquinhos. He seems to have progressed a lot in the under 23s, under 21s. He's been scoring goals and pressing Arteta. Arteta's been watching those games that he's playing. So I think he's going to be earmarked for the Europa League. Maybe the Carabao Cup that's going to come up. I think the next round is we've drawn Brighton at home in about 6 weeks from now in November. So
You think he makes the bench this weekend?
Marquinhos.
Pepe's not there.
It's very possible he could make the bench. That's a good shot.
Doesn't mean he'll get minutes, but it's
but you're getting closer. You're getting an exposure to the team, and
you're within touching distance.
Integrated into how we're going to play as well, because Pepe was not the way we wanted to play, and another one, Neto, is the other one that's been mooted as well. I liken Neto to Jota. Diego Jota wasn't pulling up trees until he came to Liverpool and started playing with better players, and his numbers got better.
But they're both consistent though, weren't they? At Wolves, I think Neto's been fairly consistent in the time he's been in the team. Jota as well was consistent, and that's something that we could really do more of. Consistency never hurts.
No.
I mean, as much as I like some of the other players that I mentioned, there's that Diaby, there's Cody Gakpo, and I do like a little bit of Dutch football players. I've always had a little bit of a...
On the older side, there's Zaha.
There's Zaha. Again, I don't know what it is about Zaha. I've never really been a big fan of him, but then when I actually look at the numbers, he does have some good numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And he started off the season with 3 goals already in 3 games.
Yeah.
I don't know whether... Again, he does bring experience, but then is Zaha going to want to be a backup player to somebody like Xhaka? But then again, does it mean he has to be a backup player? Does it mean that he comes in and he gives Xhaka a run for his money? And I quite like that. Xhaka shouldn't have a red carpet into the first team. It should be earned. And if there's someone that comes in and is outshining him, then that's the way it goes, right? It's up to you now to work harder to continue to regain your place. And I prefer that than having maybe someone that's coming in to play second fiddle. Do you know what I mean? If it's a Marquinhos, I don't mind because it's a pathway. It's a pathway. But I don't want to buy anybody to come in to be a bit of a backup. I want to buy someone who can compete.
Yeah, competition. Bix kind of says he thinks Saha is a guaranteed insurance policy for a successful season. Gary says Marquinhos, I believe, never was a player to replace Saka. Going after Rafinha seemed to show how the team planned to help with squad depth, and going after Rafinha tells me we still have a number of shillings still in the bank. We planned for 50 or 60 million plus another.
Yeah, but we hear David Ornstein saying that we can't really spend that money because of financial fair play. We have to kind of sell some more players. So Niles would be one of those. I don't think we're going to get much from him. So we're probably to end up selling somebody we don't want to if we're going to go out and spend a bunch of money on a winger.
It's funny, isn't it? We start
might be
Smith.
Might be Smith. Won't surprise me if Smith Rowe ends up on the auction block.
we start splashing the cash, and that's when they come out and go, right, FFP, we're watching you. Meanwhile, when it's Man United spunking cash, or Chelsea spunking cash, or Man City, or whatever, not a peep. Oh, look, it's Arsenal. Arsenal spending some money.
Mr. Tom, I'm almost there. Almost.
Yeah, but on that point, Stan, I think it's because we just aren't bringing in any money. We had one of the highest debts in the league.
Cut a lot of wages, though, haven't we? You know, we're cutting wages.
we're
I mean,
still
you know,
good.
we're either
But-
giving players away.
That's what I'm saying.
about
We're
this
still
is-
paying Aubameyang, still paying Ozil his money. So
The thing
still a
about
lot of
this
money
right
going
now
out.
is,
Are we
Tony,
still
we're not
paying money
being-
to Aubameyang?
So we are
Ridiculous,
not
isn't
being
it? The player's moving on
investigated.
to his second club after Arsenal, and somehow we're still like feathering that nest. The fuck?
Yeah.
So we are not being investigated yet. We are on a watch list. That doesn't mean we're being investigated. That means we're being watched and monitored.
What, like Al Qaeda?
Well, they're waiting for waiting for us to
Arsenal, the new ISIS. Fucking hell.
report the
Watch list.
losses.
The watch list.
Travel
Zaha
restrictions. Are there any
Martinelli,
travel
Hazen-
restrictions or anything like that? You know, so, ridiculous. As soon as we start spending a little bit of money, now they want to start. Now they want to start doing their job. Now they want to start doing their job, right? When it's Man City, nothing to see here.
Well,
Nothing
we're
to
one of
see here.
20.
I'm sure it all adds up and they know what they're doing. As soon as it's Arsenal, all right, that's when they want to fucking get out the old fucking.
Who are they looking at? They're
The
looking
old
at
abacus
there are
and stuff.
5 teams they're actually investigating. That's Juve, PSG. Trying to remember others.
An Italian team, well, there's a
Yeah.
shock. PSG, well, there's a shock. I mean, you know,
Yeah,
Gary-
Juventus, PSG.
So-
I can't remember.
Gary said Arsenal have depth issues right now, even if everyone's healthy. Arteta hasn't shown he will change formation to match talents of available players. This is a big flaw in his management. We're buying players. We're bringing players in to match a style of play that we're implementing. We're not going to change formations or a style of play very much.
you notice,
So-
right? We have a quite a fluid way of playing. You know, the team looks one way when we're on the ball. It kind of looks another way when we're off the ball, and so I think he's incorporating players that are able to be that fluid that they don't have to be. They're not wedded to a particular
Yeah.
position. They're able to take the instruction and get why we look one way on the ball, one way off. Understand the reasons
All
for
these
it.
hybrid formations.
Yeah, and I think that's a little bit about. I think that it's happening with a lot of teams are having this way of playing. You know, I think Wenger was kind of like dabbling in it as well. You know, so it's not really a new thing.
Yeah, as Ray said, talking
Players-
about it.
Players
Arteta
don't
was
really
saying,
play.
Hey, this is a way we play. I might sit 1, 2, 3, or 4 of you, but this is how we're gonna play. not
Players don't
change
really
anything.
play positions anymore. They kind of play areas on the pitch.
Yeah,
And what I mean by that, you know, some people go, well, isn't a position an area? Well, a left back, you know, you understand what a left back would usually patrol, but you look at a player like Zinchenko,
where he's
and
inside.
he also does other areas of the pitch, which are quite unconventional to a wedded left back, right? You find him in left half pockets in the midfield channels and popping up in places like that. This is why now, you know, we used to when we
And
used
you
to
see
talk
him
about
right
position,
behind Zaka.
when we used to talk about positions, it was very much, you know, RB for right back, CDM for central, you know, a cam or or a CM if it's box to box. Now we're talking about left-sided eights, right-sided eights.
Yeah, it's weird having
You know,
2 8s.
it's kind of
2 8s
it
is
is
weird.
changing. Yeah, it's changing, right? You can sort of see it happening before our eyes.
Um,
False nines.
Can we
Yeah,
just get
so-
back to 2 strikers eventually, Stan?
I hope so. Personally,
Hey,
for
you
me,
know-
you know,
Ray, do
talk
you
about
miss 2
cycles.
strikers? Do you miss it?
I miss it as well. And, you know, I think things will cycle back to that. I think it was Tom said it's the coaches and the managers who keep on making up tactics to keep trying to prove that they're clever. They're trying to reinvent the game when the game is very simple in effect.
It's just like us, just having 2 strikers. I can't ever remember a team just having 2 strikers.
and having it where, you know, when we were spoiled, when we had Thierry Henry and Dennis Bergkamp, that kind of a forward line where you've got that slightly deeper player in the Bergkamp. They're not both playing as identical strikers. You've got one that's slightly deeper, almost bridging the gap between central
It's
attacking
4-4-1-1.
midfielder. Yeah, because I love that those days. But don't get me started.
BX Gunner said, end of the season, who's kicking themselves in the ass harder? City for selling Jesus for peanuts or Liverpool for now replacing Mane? For me, it's Liverpool.
Yeah,
I think it's Liverpool. They sold around the attacking person. I would have sold Salah when I paid him 400K a week at 31 years old. We basically made that same mistake and still paying
For
for it.
me,
So
Liverpool are now in a position that Arsenal have been in the last few years. They're going to have to go into the market in a panic buy situation and go and get a midfielder or two because their midfield is lacking due to injury and due to age as well. And
yeah, their whole team got
see,
so old. They had all these young players. I don't know what happened to their kind
see
of
as
academy
I
players
as
where
I
they went off to.
as I understand it, Klopp was never really into a 10, that creative kind of midfielder. He preferred eights that would press from the front. But when your players are no longer able to do it, Wijnaldum's gone. Fucking Henderson's creaky now. You know, you got Firmino is not able to press as he used to, which then creates the space for Salah. If that's not going on, then it's not going to work. That philosophy. Then you need to have a creative midfielder in there to help pull the strings.
So
If the other players are creaky now and can't, pull your position out of place and allow your Manes and your Salahs to come sliding in, it's not working for them.
So Liverpool's got an issue. They got a really good player in Mo Salah who's got himself a big fat contract, and it remains to be seen.
Has his contract been renewed, by the way, or what's happened now? Did it? I missed it. What happened there? What did he get?
He's being paid quite handsomely.
I need
Something
numbers,
along
Wayne.
the lines of Aubameyang when we did that with Aubameyang.
350.
Saha is 400K.
Salah
Mo Salah.
400.
They've also
They totally
gone out
broke their
and
wage structure, which I didn't think they'd do. They
They've
weren't
also
paying
gone out
players.
and spend a lot of their summer money on Darwin Núñez, who is struggling to acclimatize to the Premier League, and they don't have a midfield now that can sustain.
It's kind of hard to say that, Gray, when he's only played in 2 games.
Yeah, but listen, the facts remain. He hasn't acclimatized. Would you say that he's up to
He
speed?
kind of got one of these red cards, right?
Yeah, he got baited into it.
He's had, like, if you watched him in the pre-season, right, there was games where he just couldn't hit the target, and then he followed it up with where he scored like 3 or 4, and then he comes on and plays in a Premier League game and gets himself suspended, meaning that he's then going to miss out one of their biggest games the following week. You buy a player like Núñez, you want him playing against Man United in them big games up there at Anfield. You want him available for that. You don't want him available for fucking Fulham.
Yeah.
You want him available for the big games, right? And he's not been able to do that. So it's interesting to see if Klopp is going to be able to hang on in there or whether it's going to go the way it did at Dortmund for him. Because it did crash spectacularly for him at Dortmund. And there's only so long, I think, that a certain persona can have mileage. Some personas are really, really good, but then after a while, you're like, fucking hell, man, less is more.
Yeah, the players stop listening.
Yeah,
he definitely has 18 months or less there, I think.
But
do you agree, Stan, or do you think
Liverpool
he's got longer?
I mean, the Liverpool side, to me, from what I've seen, they look a bit tired and sluggish when they should be quite fresh, which shows you how their training is, or maybe how strenuous it is for them in the preseason. And before that, you had players which would be running through brick walls for Klopp. But now, because they've seen it, it's becoming the same. Maybe it's hard for them now for him to maintain their levels. I mean, Trent Alexander, he looks quite shaky. He looks quite shaky sometimes at right back for them.
Gary's question: if Pep just invents formations, interesting. No matter how many players City bring in, I doubt they will have 25 players who fit a single style of play, and the squad shouldn't. Well, Holland does represent a different style of play for them, but he's going to have to play within Pep's formation as well. You know, he
Yeah,
does have that unique skill set that will let him. He's
Pep's
been
had
able.
good strikers before. Maybe not at City, but he's had them before. He knows what to do with them.
Tom going back and forth with Gary. Pep tried to win the Champions League without a striker. So what's our option B looking like here? Stevens replying to Gary. Spot on, Gary. We have yet to face any adversity. What will happen when the formation and tactics fail? Is there a plan B? Because we Arsenal have not seen one yet. We don't have a plan B right now. I would say we don't
No, we
have.
don't. We, like I said, all or nothing. You seen that? It's like we're gonna play this way. We're not gonna change in any halves. We're gonna play this way. I might drop one, two, three, four out of the team, but we're gonna play this way.
Now that's going to get you with a certain length. Yeah, I know. Stan, he is hosting. But, all right, Tony, take it away. Stan's just reminded me Tony's hosting.
Yeah, I was asked Stan before Stan kept going on, which I let him do.
Going, oh fuck you, that's rich, isn't it?
Yeah,
Oh, all right, okay, all right, fair
we'll
enough.
call you Gary. You're
No,
making
no,
Gary's appearance.
it's all been
So do
written
you think
down.
Klopp has 18 months or less, or do you think he has
The
more
gloves
time
are
left at
off, Stan.
Liverpool?
I think that you know, for what he's brought to the club, if I was in his position, you know, if he was my manager, should I say, he's done a lot for the club. He's managed to keep Mo Salah at the club, which would be, you know, if he was a Liverpool supporter, you really wouldn't want to lose him. I think someone like Klopp deserves more time. I mean, fucking hell, fucking look at the start we had last season, and Mikel Arteta didn't have any money in the bank, and he was afforded time. So if he can be afforded time, and look what he's managed to what he's done now, there is improvement. I think Klopp has earned, you know, a little bit of space. So if Liverpool fans are ringing up TalkSport now, 3 games in and going, get him out of here, he's fucking useless, then they're very short-sighted and very entitled.
Yeah, I remember Lee Dixon saying at the start of last season when we were bottom of the league after the end of August, he's like, no matter what, ownership's willing to give him 2 more years. I didn't agree with that at the time. I'm like, why would they give him 2 more years if he's struggling like this? Still really not sold on the idea if he's not getting us in the top 4 and stuff. But apparently the board
Again,
believe in him. So
I know that we live in different times, and I haven't got it in front of me now, right? But if you look at Alex Ferguson's appointment when he came down to Man United from Aberdeen, and you have a look at the league positions, you know, the first few league positions, and then I think after the first couple, so what you got there, it was 12th, then
Yeah,
what else?
maybe
And then
even more, 16.
And then he managed to get him up to something like 4th, and you think, oh, improvement. And then the next season they were back down again to like 8th or 12th. You know, it wasn't plain sailing. And it was, you know, it was just when you thought you were seeing an increment of improvement, then no, they backslid again. But they gave him the time. And if you look at it, if you want to, I don't know if you want to bring it up, Tony. I know you like to do all the stats there, but if you look at the first 5 seasons or so, you'll see the jump and the disparity. But look what happened after that. We have a lot of knee-jerk reactions these days when it comes to managers. And personally, for me, I'm glad that we have managed to continue with the same manager, because look at what happened to Man United. They lost a legacy manager in Sir Alex Ferguson. Look how many managers they've gone through. They've gone through everything from a Dutch international manager to Mourinho, that's won every competition available. They've gone for trying an anointed one in David Moyes. Now they've got like this Dutch guy, Ten Hag, who's supposed to be really good. Where do they go if it doesn't work out with Ten Hag? Where do they go from there? What is the option from there? You've tried everything. The only way they can go from there is to try and poach Mikel Arteta. I mean, where do they go?
I think to survive in this league, you have to have stability, and the Klopp has been there 7 or 8 years.
Is that too long?
Pep has been there for that long as well.
Yep.
seems like it's about time for both of them to move on, in my opinion. 7, 8 years. It's
But
long time.
Pep seems to have it laid on a bit more. You know, don't get me wrong. There's no embarrassment of riches for Klopp, but it is not at the level of Man City. still. You know,
Yeah.
they can go out and they buy a Nunez, but then they'll flounder in other areas where they can't strengthen in that window. Whereas Man City can go out and get a Haaland, and they can go and get another 2 players as well.
And I think Liverpool supporters, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit, Stan. I think Liverpool supporters can see what's needed in their team, and they want the FSG to go and get a player for them. They can see what's going to happen, and we as supporters can see what's going to happen. We know, as Arsenal fans, we know what we need maybe for the most part.
I mean, one day, right, James Milner ain't going to wake up in the morning. It's just the way it is, right? that day's going to come, you know, and they need to prepare for that. That he could go to bed one night and that's it. He ain't waking up in the morning.
Stan, doesn't it seem like he's played football for 30 fucking years now? It's like,
Well,
James
he's
Milner.
how old is he? 76, right? I mean, the guy's been going for fucking ages. And
he
fair
used
play
to
to
play
him.
for Preston North End when they were unbeaten for a full season too.
When he hangs up his boots, he should get like the key to the city or some shit, some ceremony, maybe one of them huge, you know, them big fucking checks you get, them big novelty, something, some sort of recognition. And fair play to him, but he can't go on forever. You've got.
Are you sure he's not? Maybe he's a vampire, Stan.
You never know, but you got to start planning, right? Look at fucking the other one as well, Henderson. Not getting any younger, and this is where they need to, you know. I think their forward line looks pretty safe, to be honest with you. They got Salah and that Luis guy. He looks like he's only going to get better. You know, he looks like a good player there.
Those forwards have been successful because of the midfield working for them, and
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Now they need to freshen up their midfield.
Yeah,
but let's hope they don't.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I said it before, right? Do you remember I was saying? I said it like. This could be not an exact mirror, but you remember the 2015-16 season? I think the season that Leicester won. The reason that Leicester won was because other clubs were rebuilding in disarray, were unhappy with a manager. Players had to be pissed off with managers. There was a lot going on in that season. And I think that we have a little bit of that going on this season, not as heavy as the 2015-16 season, but enough where it could help us to keep quietly going about our business. And before you know it, it's like 6 games in, Arsenal is still top of the league. Other teams are dropping points. They're getting draws when they should be getting wins. So when we do get a loss, because a loss is going to come, I'm not naive to say that we're going to go invincible again. I'd love it, but a loss or a draw is going to be around the corner. And hopefully when they come, we would have picked up enough wins where it doesn't dent us as much.
Yeah, we still have to worry about it.
We have a loss or a draw, and we're still a few points ahead of the pack.
Yeah. So, Ray, what else do you want us to do the rest of the transfer window besides buy your?
I was going to say the show.
You know Tielemans, right? You know I'm waiting for Tielemans.
Personally.
You get a little bit worried about Liverpool. Liverpool are being pushed maybe into the market. I don't know what's going to happen with FSG and Jurgen Klopp. Is he going to wait? This says shades of Arsene Wenger for me from 10 years ago. We would only go out if we find a player of super quality, is what Arsene Wenger used to say. He used to have a super quality.
Do you think there's a scenario where Arsenal, whether it be Edu, Mikel Arteta, or both, or even Gunnosaurus, where they've actually said to Tielemans, we are definitely going to put a bid in for you. I know it's going to look shaky over the next few weeks, right? But you got to hold tight. We're not going elsewhere. We give you a handshake. We've sorted out the personal terms. You like that? You're just going to have to sit tight. It might be like the second to the last day of the window. And I hate it when I read articles and it goes, Arsenal looking to bring in another 2 players before the window slams shut. It doesn't slam shut. It's not even a real window. You know what I mean? It's an allegory. It's not a real window. But anyway, apparently it slams shut. It slams shut. But you know,
I never think that as windows. To me, that's doors. It's not a transfer door.
Yeah, if you slam a window shut, you might fucking smash the glass. Surely, there's a chance.
And everybody's coming into your house.
But do you think there's as I was saying, do you think that's possible that they've had this, clandestine meeting with Tielemans as representatives, and they've said, listen, we're definitely coming for him, but it's going to be a late one. So just don't worry.
I think it would have leaked out if they talked to him.
No, they have talked to him even in January of this year. They talked to him in the last window.
Fabio Vieira didn't leak out, did
He's
it? No
been
fucking
waiting.
knew
We've
about
been
that.
waiting, and I think we've been just waiting for
Till we hear
Let's-
Fabio say it's not real, Stan.
to get some players out the door.
No.
You know, so and the other one is Pedro Neto for me. You know, go get Pedro Neto. That might be a little more difficult with.
But what's the
overhead
dough on
market.
that? What's the dough? What's the sort of dough that we've got to stump up
It's
for that?
going to be 40 or 50 million. But when you look at other players that have been moving, Anthony to Manchester United for something like 95 million, that's crazy money.
Yeah,
Frankie
50 is
De-
what they want for him. We're
Who?
trying to offer like 30 for him.
What about
Well-
what about a Cody Gakpo though? I quite like the look of Cody, but Gakpo, fee's a bit smaller as well. Good numbers. Never any guarantee that a Dutch player's going to settle into the Premier League, but they usually travel pretty well. So, I'm just what about Bowen at West Ham? But then again, right, West Ham, I don't think West Ham is selling because they're looking to buy. They've got. I was listening to something earlier on today actually, and they've got money to buy. Like, but David Moyes, he actually said, I was listening to him. He said, "Oh no. I've been speaking to players. We've been doing everything we can, but we can't get them to come." And I thought to myself, if I was the fucking ownership, and I'm like, well, I've given the manager all this money, and he's making all these calls and going flying here and talking to people and Skyping all these players, but they can't come. Is the problem the manager? Is he not
Yeah.
a Paul? Is he not a Paul because the stadium's big? You get enough people in, you've got the money. So maybe people are like, David Moyes. Who are you again? David Moyes is on the phone. They're like, who? Tell him to call back. I'm playing Fortnite. I don't know who he is.
Yeah, you're playing at Linden Stadium, and
So, a Bowen. I don't know. I quite like again oven ready.
I like Bowen. Yeah.
But then you got that
I
stupid
already
England
likes
tax,
Bowen.
right? There's that stupid
Steven-
England tax.
Stephen says he believes he can get Tielemans on a free next season, so why pay a fee? I'd like to get Tielemans now to boost our squad up.
Yeah,
for
Yeah,
this.
we still-
exactly.
we definitely need midfield depth. Be nice to get 2 or 3 players in there. But
We finished ninth or some shit like that, and Tillemans is like, I ain't going there. You're not even in the Europa League.
BX Gunner, I don't believe we're going to get Zaha. I think he's a big fish in a small pond. I don't know how he would deal with Mikel Arteta, but I think Neto is that type of possession-based player that we could.
Also
fit into
interesting
our
that
side really well.
so you want to be spending that money on a second striker, right?
I wouldn't be. I'd like Ivan Toney as well.
Are you buying a winger
No,
first, or are you buying a striker first?
I'm buying a winger first. So that's
I'm buying a
interesting.
striker first.
It's interesting that Fabio Vieira, apparently in the games he's been, his tune-up games behind closed doors or what have you, he's been playing on the right-hand side.
Yep.
Which is interesting. I mean, what you would play him in a position you'd think that you would like to look at him in, and he's been playing on the right.
Yeah, I thought we bought him to put him on that left-sided
Yeah, me too.
8. That's where I thought he was at be at. But maybe we see Zinchenko there, and Vieira
Or maybe
up on
they
the
played
right.
him on the right while the camera's on, and then as soon as the camera's left, they went, right, get back into your position, and he switched over to left 8. It was just like a ruse.
So if we have Vieira and Marquinhos, I definitely want to. I don't think we need a winger, really.
Is Reece Nelson still hanging around? He ain't gone anywhere, has he?
and
No
that-
offers for bids for him. We've had bids for Niles. Niles probably.
And don't get me wrong,
Club.
I don't want to field Reece Nelson, but I mean, if he's at the club, and I'm just thinking needs must of that we siphon off, like I mentioned earlier, we siphon off the winger money, we then put that towards another forward, and okay, it's not ideal, but I think that we might have enough to squeak through to January. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm thinking.
I think so.
You reassess in January and you say, okay, have we now? We've just seen what this has done. Have we now got enough to go to the end of the season? And if it's no, then we go.
It's definitely going to be no, because you got
address
the FA Cup coming up. Then you got the knockout rounds.
I want to
of
ask.
Europa.
Can I ask
Why not?
why not? A question who's just come in, and we love you. You come in every week. Thanks for dropping in. But a question, why not? You've seen 3 games now. The beginning of this season. Are you not Are you not feeling good about what you've seen? Have you not enjoyed what you've seen? Does it not make you think, oh, maybe there's maybe some good things are on the horizon? Because I think if you make a comparison to last season, it's a vast improvement, right? A vast improvement. And I can understand last season if that was probably when you might have even changed your name to Why Not, thinking fuck this shit, I've had enough of it. And I was in a similar place last season. I was like, really, 3 games we ain't done nothing. But I'm just wondering, is put against cannon fodder, but you can only play what's in front of you. Yeah, I would have called Brentford cannon fodder for our first game last season. I really would. I think we should have got more out of that game, but we didn't. We didn't. I don't rate Brentford at all. I'm sorry, Ray. Close your ears. I don't rate Ivan Toney that much. You know, for me, he's like a Buendia. Done okay at one level, failed to translate it at the higher level. But they done us.
I don't know,
And
Stan. He's scoring goals.
You want to
what's his
take him for a
tally?
year, Stan?
What's
A
his
year or
tally?
two?
He's
I
got
don't
at
know.
least 2 this season already. 2 in 3 games. Not bad.
I'm just not an Ivan Toney fan. I don't know. Personally.
I know, but that's okay. It's okay. He can bring you around. Keep watching him and bring you around.
Can't
Okay, I'll
complain too
do that.
much, Stan. We need a second striker.
Okay,
Eddie's
Tony.
not good enough.
All right, Tony. Queuing you up.
Yeah, we're doing. I'm in this for kind of the top 4 or 5 clubs, but Ray's doing
All right,
Arsenal.
take Arsenal out. Then we'll just call pretenders or contenders. Okay.
What's this
That
then?
works. And we've kind of already talked about the state of Liverpool, so we'll start with them first. Are they pretenders or contenders this season? Right?
Liverpool will always be in the top. Will be in the top 4 this season. So
I'm not
I
sure they'll
think that,
still be in there.
I think in the sense that I think there's really only one winner of the league this year. It's going to be Manchester City, and in that respect, all of the other teams I think will be contenders because you have to have another team, right, to go up against to have a contending race. So I think Liverpool will be contenders, but right now, the problems they have in their team make them look like pretenders. Because if you're going to be relying on these younger players in midfield, the likes of Harvey Elliott, you're going to struggle.
Sometimes you sound like a Liverpool fan since you know everything about them, right?
I like the way Liverpool have done things, and I think Arsenal should follow that quote unquote model because we're not Manchester City. Arsenal are not Manchester City. Arsenal are not Chelsea. And
We're definitely not Newcastle.
the only way that Arsenal can get success is from doing what Liverpool have been doing in the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And that's why I watch Liverpool so closely because we're not going to be able to do what Manchester City have been doing, but we can possibly do what Liverpool have been doing. And I would say winning a Champions League and winning a Premier League title and a couple of cups is not bad for Liverpool's time or their cycle, as Stan would say. So, yeah, that's my take on Liverpool.
You, Stan?
Yeah, I think this season, I have to say, I think they're pretenders. I don't think that they've done enough to upgrade on what they had last year to keep them in the race. You know, their midfield is really, really creaky for me, and they've got a few injured at the moment, and people are going, well, they're not doing that well at the moment because they've got injuries. Well, to me, then that just means that they haven't got good backups. They've not got good enough to come in and tide them over until
Well,
their
all those
first string.
injuries aren't their starting 11 anyway.
Well,
A
I
lot of
know,
those are backups.
I know. Again, and I don't actually believe that they really have that. I'm just trying to say this is what they're saying. This is my answer to it. I still think that it's a hollow excuse. Oh, we got injuries, but you're Liverpool. It shouldn't really affect you that much. You should be able to have players chomping at the bit that are ready to come in and give you an headache for selection because they play well. You know, you're not Arsenal. You're not having to put out a Rob Holding. You know, we are. You know, so
Yep.
I don't. To me, it kind of falls hollow. I think Bobby Firmino he's not getting any better. You know, there was a time when he was mustard for them, but I think that time is now gone. They've got a couple of good players in Luis, and let's see what happens with Nunez. But they really do need some surgery in a few places, and unless they do something within the next week, I don't think that they're going to have enough to keep up with Man City.
Yeah, I don't see him keeping up, but I also see him probably having to do a lot in the winter, reset after the World Cup, go after midfielders and some of the stuff they're lacking. I think
I think they
best.
may
I
even
think
find
best. They're
themselves,
probably fighting for fourth or fifth with Newcastle, probably.
where
So that
they
just
were
puts them in
usually
the top four.
I think where they were usually guaranteed 1 or 2. Now, I don't think that's so self-assured. I think that they could
Yeah.
see themselves being third or fourth
Yeah.
if they're not lucky.
Liv-
Someone
So
else could beat them by a point or two. You know,
I think they're fighting more for fourth or fifth. Might be fighting Newcastle down there.
I think
For that.
Liverpool are become a victim of their own success. So now they're looking. They want to identify the perfect midfielders, the perfect position for them, and they're not going to move until they find what they feel is the right player. But I think they're going to need to get somebody in, just a body or two in, to get them through. And I don't
they're
think they
still
have.
fielding Oxlade Chamberlain for fuck's sake. I mean, you know
I
what I'm
still
saying?
can't believe they paid fucking 40 million for that kid. I loved him though. I did
One
really
I
of the
like
did
him.
few,
loved him. Yep, loved him.
one of the few players that we got a decent amount of money for, and that's got to come back. Where our sort of
3
selling,
players since 2012 that we've got more than what we paid for him,
we
which
have to
is
get better. We
insane.
have to get better at that. So that's Liverpool.
So let's do. Who do you want to do?
Well,
Let's
who's next?
do.
Chelsea.
Let's do Man United.
Ah, fantastic.
Pretenders. I'll make this very, very quick. Liverpool lost that game because of Liverpool's attitude. They didn't go into the game with the right mindset. It's a derby game. Manchester United can get up for derby games.
Yeah.
They showed they could get up for that game, and they're a dangerous team. When we go to Old Trafford, we're going to have to be on our mettle to play well. But I expect a different Manchester United to rock up at Southampton at the weekend, and it's not going to be as easy for them to be consistent now. So for me, Manchester United have a lot of work to do still, and they are pretenders.
Stan?
Pretenders big time. I mean, the way that they spend their money is laughable. They allowed us to basically cajole them into a fucking place where they felt that they could spend upward of 50 million on fucking Max Mini, on Hornswoggle, fucking Lisandro Martinez. I mean, that was well maneuvered. I don't think he's ever going to live. He's worth that value. And now they're spending upwards of 80 million pounds sterling on Anthony. And while he may be a good player, that's not the sort of player that they should be buying. That's not the sort of player that they need at Man United.
No.
You bring in a player like Anthony when you've got a team that has harmony. You know, you've got some stalwarts in there. There's a good chain of command within the team. Everyone's smiling. There's a good place. And you bring in an Anthony who's just like a little bit of sprinkle dust on the top. You know, you don't bring someone in like Anthony, I don't think, when you're at the beginning of that rebuild. It's the same with Rabiot. Why would you bring in a Rabiot at that stage? You know, he needs someone that's fucking hands to the pump, proven. So
Can,
again, I
did
think
anybody sign him with his mom there? Can anybody get him?
that's the thing, isn't it? His mum's in there, isn't it? But I think
Yeah.
spending that sort of money on an Anthony, to me, it just shows you how they're trying to like fucking spending poor bad money after good. I think, you know, I'm not saying that he's a bad player. I'm just saying that I don't think that he's what you need for where they are. If anything, it could fucking ruin him in his trajectory of where he is in his career, you know? So
And with
Pretenders big time, and I'm loving every second of it.
And yeah, you've still got the comedy of Slabhead and Ronaldo on the sidelines there. And,
Because the moment they sell Maguire is the moment that they fucking basically admit to the world, we fucked up spending 80 million on this guy.
yeah.
That's what it is. They can't admit to it that they fucked up. And that's why they're struggling on and struggling on. and it's going to come at some point. They're going to have to say, cutting our losses.
We did Pepe for 72, and we get bantered for 72.
Exactly.
They did Maguire for 80.
Yeah, I'm still surprised they're using Martinez as a center back.
And then he
didn't look that bad last game, but I'm still surprised he's using him there.
But look at the guy they gave the armband to. I thought that game the last weekend, I thought Bruno was fucking disgusting, mate. Absolutely, the gamesmanship. Do you know what I mean? And why did he not get a second yellow card? Because he would have been sent off. That's bullshit.
You can't. It's actually they were in possession of the ball technically, so you can't give them a yellow card for that.
What, for diving?
Are you talking about the dive, or are you talking about holding
he already had a booking. He could have got another one, and the referee decided not to book him for the second one because it would have meant he would have gone off. But you can't go, oh, it's going to ruin the game. No, he ruined the game by doing those things.
Yeah, those refs are always looking to hesitate giving out that second yellow, but it should have been a second yellow.
And all that does, it gives him the power to continue to do what he's doing. Do you think he cares when everyone goes, look at that diving cunt, bastard, cheating cunt? He doesn't give a fuck. You know why he doesn't give a fuck? He gets probably 200,000 reasons a week why he doesn't give a fuck. And he's going to get those 200,000 reasons again next week into his bank account. And if he's going to get away with it and the team came out and won, he probably thinks in his mind now, what I did was right because we won the game. That's where the game goes, right? And that's where the game gets ruined. Because the referees don't want to make the hard decisions. So what if that means that their captain goes off and it's down to 10? Lessons are learned from that.
So next on the list of contenders or pretenders, which
do we have to stop talking about? Do we have to stop talking about the downfall of Man United so quickly? Okay, fair enough.
We can continue. We can group it in with this next team.
I'm joking.
Their sister club here with making mistakes left and right. Chelsea, Ray, they pretenders or contenders?
I'll be right back.
I actually think Chelsea are pretenders. I think they have been perennial pretenders, right? When have Chelsea sustained the title challenge in the last 5 years, right?
That's the thing, though. They get trophies left and right in different competitions where it still makes their cabinet look pretty nice.
So they're a cup team right now. That's what you're saying, right? They've been third place comfortably for the last 3 years, and they've never really challenged City or Liverpool.
They did for a while, but they can't anymore.
They haven't.
They did under the first 10, 15 years of Abramovich. They did, but lately it's kind of hard for them to compete in the league.
Lately, in the last 3 years, say Tony, they have been pretenders to the title.
So the last 4 years with Wenger, probably.
Yeah. Thomas Tuchel is going to have a difficult season there because that club is being poorly run in my viewpoint now because Todd Bowley's come in. He's trying to make some waves, and they're spending a lot of money on bang average players. Koulibaly has been found out against Leeds. He picks up yellow cards. He gets himself into situations where he has to make rash decisions. He's a bit like a Granit Xhaka playing at the back. Wesley Fofana they're going to get Wesley Fofana coming in for 80 million. They're spending a lot of money for very average players. Fofana didn't play well against Arsenal. Aubameyang, we know all about Aubameyang. He's going to come back for 15, 16 million to Chelsea. And Raheem Sterling has not settled into their style of play yet and hasn't really hit the ground running. So for me, Chelsea are going to struggle this season. I'm looking at a top 6 finish for Chelsea. I could not sit here and say right now that they're going to be in the top 4.
Stan, what do you think of Chelsea? Pretenders or contenders?
I can't wait for to see this unfold. Right, I can't wait for Aubameyang to go to Chelsea. For me, it's payback, man, for some of the shitbags that we've had off of them. Right, like Gallas, was one. Willian was another one, and
Yeah.
I hope I'm glad. I'm not like, oh, Aubameyang's coming back to the Prem. I want him to come back to the Premier League because I actually think that his powers have waned, and I want him to. In his first game for Chelsea, I want him to score a hat trick, and then
You did
running
forget
around.
Luis there.
I want
Luis
him
was,
running. Luis as
Luis
well, another one. Yep,
was
another one.
right
Thank you,
where-
Tony.
Check. Peter, check.
But I want him. I want Peter Cech. I want him to score a hat trick and be running around like flashing his gums off to the crowd in celebration, and then from there it just goes downhill, because it will. And I'm glad that he's coming back to Chelsea, because all those Arsenal fans that are still crying about how he was let go by Arsenal or Mikel Arteta, they'll now be able to see week in, week out how shit he really is. He won't be far away in Spain, and they'll only hear about it when he does score. They'll
Look
be
at that.
seeing it. They'll be seeing it. They'll be seeing him week in, week out. And I'm gonna say it right now. He ain't gonna be a threat to us. I think he fell out there before under the same manager. The manager is so desperate that he's had to go back to Aubameyang. He's so desperate. It didn't end on a good note there. They didn't. He didn't. He wasn't at the airport. Tommy Tuchel went at the airport crying, waving him off on the plane. Couldn't wait to see the back of him. But now he's turned back to that well, and I think that everything's going to be all right. They're just sellotaping over problems because they're
How
desperate.
have they
there.
missed so much on strikers
And I also think
and forwards?
Barcelona
They brought in
Barcelona
like
needs some
10
money,
forwards the
Tony.
last 3 seasons. Just
Exactly.
all of them
look,
have
look,
failed.
look, Lukaku. Jesus wept. 90 million.
And
90
Wijnaldum
million,
said
and lending
Shy
him back to
Havertz.
where they got him from.
Shy Havertz as well. So listen,
I actually think
Chelsea
Havertz has done probably better for them, right?
You
Playing
got
in
Warner,
he's
Pulisic.
playing in a different
the full
position,
crew
and he's
there.
the only one that's giving them anything to hold on to. Timo Werner. What
if
happened
Arsenal
now?
were doing things this way, we would not be happy. And I don't think Chelsea fans should be happy. Why not said Shy Havertz as well? He's living off of that Champions League goal. But listen, they've won the Champions League. Steven said, I think we're seeing a Sterling that is not surrounded by the cream of the crop. We are seeing the real Raheem Sterling now.
And yeah, pretenders. I think that they're going to be very inconsistent.
Top 6 for you, Stan? Where do you think they'll end up?
I think they'll have some games where they'll blow teams away, and then they'll have other games where you'll be like, what happened there? Jesus, they couldn't even get out of the blocks. I think they're going to be very inconsistent. So
Let me
I think that Chelsea and Liverpool are going to be fighting each other for a spot. And I don't think that. And I don't
Fourth to
think.
sixth.
And I'm not sure
Fourth
that
to
spot.
sixth.
I think that spot's second.
You think it's
Do you
a
know what I
second?
mean? So I think that they're going to be fighting themselves for fourth or third, maybe.
I think it's
Fourth.
fourth or fifth.
Well, you've got
Maybe.
Chelsea and Liverpool in third and fourth, Stan, maybe.
Say again, sorry, Ray.
You've got Chelsea and Liverpool maybe third or fourth.
Yeah, I think that they're going to be leapfrogging each other. I think they're going to be those two teams are going to be very inconsistent.
I got them fourth to sixth. Is where I got them. What about you, Ray?
Yeah, I think they'll drop out of the top 4. Chelsea.
However, the difference is with Chelsea, they got fresh money, right? And the window doesn't slam shut for another week, right? It doesn't crash shut. It doesn't do that for another week. So Bowley, he might still flex his checkbook a little bit, and they could bring in more people. So that's the thing with Chelsea. They can get bailed out, whereas Man U, they've got the money, but they just piss it up the wall, don't they?
Yeah, they're both pissing away money left and right. Next, we'll go to the team we won't want to cover too long. Be little North London Park neighbors.
Neighbors.
Oh,
Spurs, pretenders, or contenders.
Want me to start?
Yeah,
when we say
Whoever wants to
contenders,
start first.
just clarify what they're contending for. What position?
The
They're
title.
contending.
First or second.
Oh,
Yeah.
first or second?
Maybe
First or
Oh,
second.
second,
no,
or-
no, they're not.
If
They're not
we're
going to. No,
saying if we're saying City are going to win the league, then who can be the second best?
It's mainly top 4, Stan. Yeah, go ahead. Top 4.
I'll start then.
All right, okay. That's a good point. I didn't think of it like that. Who's going to finish second? We have not said. Who's finishing second? I don't think Arsenal finishing second.
I think we are.
I finished.
we
I think we finished third. So then, who finishes above
Yeah.
us? I'm trying to think.
it's
And when I
second
do,
or third, I
when I
think it should
think
be
of it like
Chelsea.
that, at the moment, I find it hard to think of a team that
I
might
think it'd be,
finish above us, other than City.
I
I think
think
it'd
if
be Spurs.
Liverpool will get their act together, and I think Liverpool may just finish ahead of us. But it's going to be
I don't
very
think
close.
so.
I think it's very close between us and Liverpool. I'm going to go ahead and say they're contenders. Tottenham, they're short-term contenders. Conte's got them set up so they're going to be ready for one season. Um, They're going to ride Kane and Son, Kulusevski, and that for a bang average team is going to win games
Right, this is harder than I
with
thought.
1-0, 2-1. They're going to be very close margin games.
And I can see him just
It's
prioritizing
just harder
the
than I thought
league
when I
too.
think about it.
Yeah, Conte gets results, but I think it'll be very short term. Um, I think they're contenders, but I think Arsenal will finish above them, but it will be very close. We've been close to Tottenham for the last 3-4 seasons.
I think it's gonna be us and Tottenham fighting for second and third. That's where I see it.
I've got City winning the league, Liverpool a close second.
Yeah, me too.
We're
Now,
very,
me too.
we're very close third behind Liverpool, and I think Tottenham will be fourth. So
Who did you say will be third? Us above Tottenham.
us above Tottenham, yeah.
So
I
then
got Liverpool
you're
out of
saying
the
that
top
you're
four.
saying then that us and Tottenham we're both going to finish ahead of Chelsea.
Yeah.
Really?
I think we're gonna finish ahead of Liverpool and Chelsea.
Difficult. It's
Yep.
very difficult.
Ray is a
Anywhere else?
chastising me for being optimistic.
So give it to me again, Tony. What are you saying?
I said you're not chastising me for being overly optimistic.
No, I like your optimism.
So where do you think they finish, Ray? Third or fourth?
Who, Tottenham?
Yep.
Fourth place for Tottenham. I think we're seeing Manchester United and Chelsea having some struggles this season, and they're dropping out. In fact, I think Chelsea and Manchester United will be bothered by Newcastle. Newcastle will be one of those teams that'll be nipping at their heels.
Haven't they made a bid for the guy that we were looking at, that Alexander Isak?
Isak, yep.
Have they made a formal bid for him? How much was that, by the way?
Oh, they bought him for 60.
Oh, right. We were fucking being quoted 80, weren't we? Jesus.
Yeah.
That's 20 cheaper than what we were being quoted, wasn't it? And they got money, and they've got how does that work? They should be being quoted more.
I want Isak or I want Gabriel Jesus for 20 million less. I'm thinking Gabriel Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
BX has got Arsenal winning it, City coming second, Tottenham third, and Liverpool fourth. There's optimism right there. But listen, right now we're winning games.
We could do that if we had more depth, but depth is a thing that keeps.
You've got to remember as well, we've got an extra competition this season that we didn't have last season. You know, last season we had a clearer run at things, and we still finished fifth. Now we've got to navigate these dodgy fucking away games in the middle of fucking Timbuktu somewhere, halfway up a mountain. Do you know what I mean? And then we've got to fucking get after the match is finished, get on a donkey back to the airport. Do you know what I mean? And fucking get a fucking biplane.
Oh, you mean the Europa League?
Back, yeah, to get all the way back to play a fucking league game. Yeah. So we've got all that to contend with. And this is a new thing for Mikel Arteta, right? This is a new thing
one
for him.
season.
And I'm not using it as an excuse because he's not a rookie manager. But
it's not a new thing.
You know,
he did it in his first season.
He does now have a new thing to juggle.
Second season.
Seasons in the Europa League. So this is not new to Mikel Arteta.
Yeah, you're right.
Knocked out by Olympiacos and knocked out by Villarreal in the semi-final.
But I mean, if you compare it to last season, where last season was really the shape of his team.
Yeah.
You know, if you're saying that, is this team in the image of Mikel Arteta? It is now. You know, and now with a lot of these players, there's a new competition to navigate, and one which is really important to us, and one which I really want us to win as well. To be a completionist. You know what I mean? I want us to win that Europa League Cup. Part of me wants us to go down into the Europa Conference to win that as well, just to have it on the CV.
Yeah,
Just 'cause
we'll talk about the
I'm
Europa
an
a little bit
achievement.
later.
I'm an achievement hunter on Xbox, so
We'll
you know.
talk about it a little bit later when we preview it and
All
the
right, Tony.
draw
Fucking hell. I was
tomorrow.
only saying. So,
No, I like that host work there. We'll stick a pin in that one, Stan. We'll
all right,
talk about it
Tony.
later.
Fucking hell.
That's it, Tony.
Sorry.
Hey, I let you go the first time. Now
You know,
we'll
I'm surprised if it muted me.
We
when
have
you're
enough
talking
fuel
about
on board.
Liverpool, I just let you keep going.
We only
Right.
have enough fuel on board to land this thing in our destination, Stan. We can't go all over the place.
It can, but we'll see. See if it does or not.
Right. What's
All right,
next?
what's next, Tony? We're going to talk about
Next,
Newcastle. Do you want or not?
yeah, we'll throw Newcastle in there.
I talk about Newcastle all day. Love Newcastle. My great granddaddy's team.
Newcastle or the
Let's start with
new?
you, Stan. Nope, Ray, you have to wait.
Love it. What would you like to know, Tony?
Pretenders or contenders for top 6?
Oh, top 6. I think that there's an opportunity for them. They seem to be, they're doing really well with little Lord Fauntleroy as their manager, I think, and they're not spunking the money. They've not gone out and done a Robinho, you know what I mean? Just gone out and bought a big player, doesn't even really know where they're going, and it's just a mishmash. They seem to be quite frugal with the money. And, there's a little bit of sentiment in there. As you know, I've got ties to Newcastle, and I'd like them to get into the top 6. I'd like them to start having a bit of a taste of success, but not too much that it comes at Arsenal's detriment, obviously.
Is it be coming to everybody's
Ooh.
detriment, Stan?
Tony, you got some fans in the chat box who've just still come in, man. The bus has arrived. They've all got off the bus and they're gone now.
Some white ones in there.
God.
But so yeah, I think for the top 6, maybe contenders, yeah, definitely.
Ray?
Yeah, I think they can be contenders for the top 6, but ultimately, I think they won't make it. I think Chelsea and maybe Man United will just be too good for them. But Newcastle are coming. You know what I mean? Or that team is coming.
But there's a few teams in there, though, Ray, like Chelsea dropping points, Liverpool have dropped points when they haven't. Manchester City dropped points, and I think that if they continue to drop points and get draws when they should get wins, it's going to benefit other teams. That means other teams are not getting 0 points in that match; they get another point here or there.
Yeah.
And that might help in Newcastle.
And
Newcastle. Oh, I was only saying, Ray. Fucking hell, it was just an opinion. You have to just, No, but seriously, I was just saying, it might be an opportunity then if they're picking up these points here and now, and these other teams are dropping points, and Newcastle takes care of business against teams which they should do, like a Fulham, like a Bournemouth, like a Nottingham Forest. They managed to take care of Villa away from home, and they get 3 points there. You could see them sneaking into that 5th or 6th position, right? Because it looks like that the teams which are, they only lose 3 games a season and almost go invincible. It doesn't look like that's going to happen this season. Points are going to. I don't think that the top 2 teams are not going to be like a streets ahead of the next with only 1 or 2 between them 2.
I don't know that being that 90 to
I think
100
it's going to
point
be much
category
tighter.
anymore.
It's going to be
And
much
what we
tighter.
want-
90 to 100 points is done with.
What we want to see as well is teams going after Manchester City. We've seen a little bit of that this season already in the first 3 games. Teams that are going to take on Manchester City, and Crystal Palace go there. I think, Crystal Palace go there on Saturday and need
You've
to
only
take
got
on
to start
City.
to see a small chink in the armour, and you got to go, oh, hello, maybe instead of getting like fucking bashed 5-0, we could get a 0-0 draw out of this.
Yeah.
Or 1-0 win, or a 1-1. We can walk away with a point here.
So I think we're going to see a lot of teams, maybe City. They're not going to win the league with 90-something points. It's going to be maybe
Tight.
high 80s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're going to have to improve a lot as a team ourselves, Arsenal, because truly and correctly, why not? And other people have said, we need to be better. And we've beaten who we've needed to beat so far in the 3 games. But the big tests lie for us ahead.
If the bigger teams start to drop points and we start to gain points, then the gap gets reduced. It just gets reduced.
Yeah.
We're already far better off this season than we were this time last season. Therefore, that's improvement. Whereas there are other teams aren't better off where they were last season. The gap's getting smaller. So, it's not only about Arsenal improving, it's also about other teams failing to improve or
Yeah.
fucking up.
Yeah, I mean, look at Manchester City. They've had to sell some players to other Premier League teams. They've maybe helped Chelsea with Sterling going there. They've
Helped
maybe
us.
helped Arsenal big time. We got the
There you
set
go.
piece
Fucking help
coach.
them.
We got of course we got Arteta. We got the set piece coach as well, Nicholas Jover, and we've got Gabriel Jesus. And I think Zinchenko might be even more transformative for us than Gabriel Jesus.
I bet the Man City board didn't want to sell Jesus and Zinchenko to us, but it was really hard for Pep to say no to his adopted
Disciple.
son, and I can't
Yeah.
say no to him. Do you know what I mean?
He
Yeah.
had to do something to raise that money for Holland without being in financial fair play trouble.
It could come back to haunt him. This isn't us buying fucking offcasts, players that are no longer any good to anybody and have had their fucking best years, and they're now coming to look for a fluffy dressing gown and slippers. These guys are still coming to work.
In their prime.
Yeah, they're still coming to work, and
Yeah.
this is the next chapter in their story. And as I've said before, I honestly believe that with both Zinchenko, but more with Gabriel Jesus, you're seeing a player who is being given an opportunity to step out of the shadows.
Yep.
And I think that he's been waiting for that opportunity, which is why, people like myself, when I initially would look at Jesus when he was at City, I always thought he was more introverted. It's not.
Yeah, I was
It's just that
surprised.
it's not. I think it's just that he hasn't had an opportunity to shine. Much in the same way when Dennis Bergkamp came for us from Inter, much in the same way when Henri came to us from Monaco. Things changed in their trajectory. Positions were tweaked. They were given a platform. They were told, "You're the main man here now," and it enabled them to step out of the shadows. And I think that's going to benefit Zinchenko and Gabriel in bags.
Yeah, I see it with both
Therefore,
of
it's going
them.
to Therefore, it benefits Arsenal.
Manchester
So
City was a machine. Manchester City's a machine. And coming to Arsenal is a little bit more like there's more players at your level, and it's more of a community type feel in that team, I believe. And we've
since we're
started to show in these 3 games what we could be all about. And if a player, there's 1 week left to get a player or two in the door, and some of those players that are possibly coming to Arsenal have to be enthusiastic about coming to us. Neto or Tielemans or even Zaha here, as BX has said.
since we're talking about Arsenal, pretenders or contenders for first to third. That's our window.
For Arsenal,
Yep, first to third.
we definitely have to be contenders for first and third. First place will be the dream season, right? Win the league. City have troubles. that's a season where
Why can't we do a Leicester?
we have very few injuries.
Why can't we do a Leicester?
Exactly. We gain more and more confidence. And look, our fixtures show us
And that
we
Letty.
have a very manageable first 8 or 9 games, and that could get us into a very commanding. I've said after 5 games we should be top of the league. Here we are top of the league after 3 games. The only thing that could happen now is we start getting ahead of ourselves. We have to just look at that Fulham game coming up, and 1 game at a time. So yeah, that's the perfect season. No injuries, no suspensions. Players, 5 or 6 players score 10 goals or more for our season, which I think Gary wasn't exactly down with me when I said that earlier a few weeks ago. Get 5 players that can score 10 goals each. That's 50 goals right there. We have 5 or 6 different players scoring for us. So, in a situation where City are irresistible and they turn out those wins after wins, and we have a few draws, a couple of defeats, second or third place is definitely not out of question. You know, especially with Liverpool stumbling, Chelsea having lost as well. We've stolen march on a couple of other teams that could potentially be in that second place spot.
So
So yeah,
do you put
content-
anything into the League Cup or FA Cup, or do you just kind of scrap that?
no, I think we just have to keep going, game after game after game, and if we get a couple more players into the team, you know, Pepe's gone, maybe Hector Bellerin's gone, Ainsley Maitland-Niles going to go, and we raise the standard by bringing two or three better players in, and now we have got
I don't
competition.
think we got the I don't think we got the depth to do that though.
We don't have understudies. Now we have competition in those spots. And with competition comes cup competition. And those players are trying to impress in the cup competitions to get into the league games. Then we win games. Winning becomes a habit. And we've
It
seen
does.
Gabriel Jesus and Zinchenko bring that winning mentality to our team. And Saliba too, you know. So definitely contenders 1 to 3.
Stan?
See, I can only base my answer on what we've done so far. I mean, you ask me this question in 2 months' time, depending on where we are and how we've played, it could be a different answer. So, with that in place and looking at the 3 games that we've seen so far, then yes, we are contenders. If we continue in this same vein, well, if we continue in this same vein, we go invincible, right? Based on
Yeah,
the 3 games.
Highland,
Yeah.
keep
And
winning
and
games.
where you would laugh and go, ho, 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 all right, Stan, I would then say, well, we've done it before.
Well,
Nothing.
Stan, we could revisit this topic
Yeah,
in
I'm just
during the
saying
World
nothing.
Cup.
What I'm saying is nothing. Yeah, exactly. Nothing is off the table today as we speak. We've won 3 games in a row. We compare that to last season. We lost 3 games in a row. We look at the other teams that are supposed to be the big wheels, and we see them dropping points. So right now, today, here and now, then yes, we are contenders. Very much so. My hope is that obviously we're only a serious injury away from a couple of players, which would really affect us.
Mhm.
We could go
It's a
into the next
scary thing.
game, touch wood doesn't happen, and Gabriel breaks a leg. This is football. Now we're in a different place. We're rejigging. We're having to look at a plan B. So take it game by game. I do, and right now, 3 games in, I'm loving it. Really optimistic. I don't see why we can't win the next game to give us
Mhm.
now. We'll be on a run of 4, and we see who else around us drops points. We'll still be top of the league, and then we'll be looking ahead to the 5th game, and so on and so on and so on. So I'm enjoying it, and I'm going to milk the enjoyment while I can, because I've still got a memory, and I remember what it's like when things were miserable.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Why not? Wants to know
Enjoy.
contenders to what? We were talking about the criteria first to third place for Arsenal this season. Um,
Can I say
six,
one
six,
thing? Even though I was a little bit critical of Zaha, he is an Arsenal supporter, and he does have a lot of experience in the Premier League, and I don't know what it was. I'll tell you what it was. It was about 6 or 7 days ago. Someone put out a tweet and they said something about Zaha, that he always seems to be on the ground. I don't even really know what he does. He just doesn't seem to be the one for me. I don't really get him. And I responded to that. I said, I kind of feel the same. But then when I looked at it again and looked at his stats, I thought to myself, well, the numbers are pretty good. What
yep,
is it about him that maybe it's the way he catches my eye, but the stats are pretty good. And he is an Arsenal supporter. He would bring some leadership qualities because he's experienced. And surely,
yep,
if he's going to come to Arsenal now at the age of 30, isn't that hashtag living the dream? You finally get signed for the club that you love. Aren't you going to, surely you're gonna want to have a good name with the fans, right? And you want to produce, and you don't want to just be another Nicola Pepe, for example.
I'd
So
like him
maybe
for. I would
maybe it
like
could be
him
a
for
good
two
thing.
years.
What do you think the price would be, Tony? Do you know if we were? Because I remember that time we were quoted before, it was like 80 odd million, right? What would it be now?
It'd have to be 20 or 30. I think 30 is kind of what I heard, or somewhere
He's got
around there.
1 year left in his
But
contract.
then, because he's such a left-sided player, are we still then not getting the cover that we were supposed to be getting cover for Xhaka, which is why we're talking about a winger? What we're going to
No, like
start
you
telling
said,
him? We're going to start to tell him to play on the right-hand side now at 30 years old.
yeah, you can
Do
tell
you know what I mean?
Fabio. You can tell Fabio to play there, Marquinhos. There are options there.
Interesting.
I just tell him Martinelli can take some breaks.
Who would you prefer, Neto or Zaha?
I'd go with Zaha for 2 years, give Martinelli and Saka a little bit more time to develop. Wouldn't really stun them as much as buying somebody younger. To me, it's just you got Zaha for 2 years, then he steps down, then Saka or Martinelli can. Or in this case, it'd be Martinelli since he'd be playing on the left.
The more I think about it, the more I think that there is an argument for Zaha, but there's more. You got more mileage in someone like Neto. Providing that the knee hasn't caused him any. Has he been this season? Has he been playing this season? No. What's he?
I'm not sure. And ask Ray when he gets back. I'm not sure. Ray?
So the question was what, Zaha or Neto?
Neto, has he been playing?
So
Yeah, right.
Neto,
If you had the choice between Zaha and Neto, which one would you go for and why? And do you know what Neto what he's been like so far this season? Has he been playing? Because I know he had that bad knee thing, right? Is he back playing?
Neto's been playing pretty well with Wolverhampton Wanderers right now, but he hasn't realized his full potential playing in that team. It's quite a defensive team.
How old is Neto?
24, 25.
I think he's 25.
Something about that. Zaha will give you that instant 10, 12 goals a season.
But where are you going to play Zaha?
On the left. Martinelli's position.
But then who's covering for Saka now? Wasn't that the whole point of a winger to give? Wasn't we running Saka wild?
Saka doesn't have to play then because Gabriel Jesus could play from the right. Martinelli could play from the right.
Who's going to play sort of Jesus?
Fabio Vieira could play from the right. Yeah.
But if you don't play Jesus right, you're going to start a game. Would you conceivably start a game with, remembering that we've only got two out-and-out strikers, would you willingly start a game with Gabriel Jesus on the right and Eddie Nketiah through the middle? No cover on the bench and risk them both? I wouldn't.
Nope.
I wouldn't. You just talked about playing two strikers up top.
I wouldn't. I know, but but we haven't got who else? We haven't got anyone else.
We don't have a third striker, right?
We haven't got a third striker to come in for that next game.
It doesn't mean both of them are going to get injured. Just because you play both of them doesn't mean they're both going to get injured in the same game.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, what about if one of them needs to come off for for a rest? We haven't got anyone else to change it up with.
You take the player off and then you put a winger on, and the other player.
But we're playing Gabriel Jesus because we haven't got a winger.
It's called rotating. It's called rotation.
He tricked yes, Ray.
Called rotation. Zaha, I don't see Zaha coming to Arsenal, but it would be epic.
He's really instrumental to Palace, right?
Yeah,
have they bought anyone who could, have they bought anyone that could? It would leave them. They wouldn't leave them a lot of time to find a cover.
It would leave them without a kind of leadership.
They've been playing him as a striker recently.
Yep.
Vieira's been playing him through the middle recently. Have you noticed that?
Yes, he has, Ray.
He has.
No, he hasn't.
Yes, he has.
Playing with Edouard and Mateta.
They've been playing a 4-2-3-1.
The last game, Edouard wasn't playing. He had Zaha through the middle.
Edouard was playing.
Because I remember seeing the lineup. I remember, you're right, Tony. If it wasn't the last game, it was the one before. I remember seeing the lineup and thinking, that's interesting. He's doing that right. I remember thinking to myself, he's doing that Raheem Sterling shit. That's what I remember thinking.
4-5-1. Played 4-5-1.
Yeah, Liverpool.
Liverpool. Yeah. And that's the way you would set up, right? You have a fast winger to get that one chance which he had against Virgil van Dijk.
Oh yeah, but what I'm saying is, this is a new thing, right? This is like this new style of playing. We're seeing it at Chelsea, right? Ray's run off in disgust. But we see it now, don't we? We see
Ray's
this thing
playing the
now
part
where
of Alonso this week, Stan. We didn't know it.
where they're playing players, off of the wing more through the middle. You see it with a Shiverts, this kind of play. But I think me and you are on the same page, Tony. We are still as forward sure. Would you conceivably start a game, right, with Jesus on the right and Eddie through the middle, and knowing that we ain't got nothing else to
Nope.
change it up in the game? Nah.
Because the only thing you
Nah.
got is Smith Rowe, and we're not using up there. Even though I think he probably could play up there.
I don't think that we should be seeing Gabriel Jesus playing on the wing at all. Very rarely that should happen.
Not unless we sign
rarely.
Not unless we sign somebody.
Very, very rarely that should happen. Okay.
So,
it'll be 1 minute.
We'll wrap up this section with City.
What, Tony?
So we'll wrap up this section with City. First to third.
City pretenders or contenders? Definitely contenders. City are perennial contenders when it comes to the league. They can routinely win games, game after game after game. When they go down a goal or two, they have it within themselves to get back into games. And we've seen that against Newcastle United being 3-1 down.
I think we're just struggled to do multiple competitions this year.
Sterling is better than any winger or midfielder at Arsenal. Sterling? Seriously, why not? I thought you were going to say Zaha. If Palace sells Zaha,
I know he says some outrageous stuff, but that's got to be up there at the top of his list.
Sterling is not better than any winger or midfielder at Arsenal. I don't rate Sterling. He probably won't get more than 10 goals, 10 league goals at Chelsea.
Yeah, that's why I didn't like it when we were being linked to him. I just didn't like it. I don't think he's that good.
Yeah.
So, Stan, you got an easy one. You got a little layup here.
Manchester
City. Pretenders or contenders?
Oh, well, they're contenders, aren't they? I mean, they've just bought a fucking cyborg who just scores goals for fun. It's a machine, right? So I'm really glad that we're getting we've got a player like Haaland, Haaland coming over into the Premier League, that we get to see this guy close up. It's nothing but good for the league. It means that other teams have to look around and say, okay, well, if we want to get ahead, we also have to start looking for the quality. There was a lot about Darwin Núñez about 6 months ago. We were talking about him, right?
I know Stan was.
Exactly.
I think,
and here he is now in the Premier League, right? We're getting all these players coming over. Casemiro coming over. We've got Rafael Varane playing up at Man United.
Hopefully it's a trend that continues, because
we've been able to attract some good players over to this league, which is only going to make the games better and make teams have to, keep up with the Joneses.
Because there's just not that money in Spain for those players anymore, so they're like, let's go to England.
Yeah.
I think Manchester City have already psyched out Liverpool so much. They lined up Haaland. Everybody knew that Manchester City were going to activate that release clause of Erling Haaland. And so Liverpool got in their own heads a little bit. Liverpool have gotten out of their own strategy of buying players for 40 or 50 million and making them into good players, good forwards. They've gotten Jota, they've gotten Salah, they've gotten Mane that way, but without spending more than 50 million per player.
And now they've broken their wage structure too.
Now they've stumped up big time for Darwin Núñez. Sadio Mane has gone to Bayern Munich and hasn't missed a beat. He's still scoring goals there. And Mo Salah has gotten himself a fat contract now. And I think Manchester City have probably psyched out Liverpool before the season has even started. So where are we to next, Tony?
I guess we'll go to Buying or Selling Culture Club.
All right, explain this one to us.
I'll do it on the pitch and off the pitch. off the pitch, we've seen that we're going to this company to kind of explore the culture, shape the culture. I don't think we need to be going to a company like we are here. We went to some local musician, bought a song, basically Angel, all about drug use and everything else. North London Forever's of course, yay. I don't really like it.
I don't like it either.
But on the
I'm
football
sure.
side
I'm
of
sure. Me
things,
and Tony. Obviously, I didn't know Tony. I'm
Let
sure
me
we're in the
ask you one
minority.
question though.
I don't like that song because,
Right. Let's talk
and let me
about
tell
the
you
song.
why. Music is like film or comedy. It's subjective. Some people like jazz. Some people don't. Some people like country and western. Some people don't. Some
Right.
people like this film.
But
I don't like that song. It's miserable.
so
what was this
Stan,
wrong with the song we played before and after every game?
Stan, do you watch a certain movie to put yourself in a good mood on a Friday or Saturday night?
Well, I try. You know, if for entertainment, I mean, obviously, you're going to put on a film like Requiem for a Dream, which is a great film. You're not going to be in a good mood afterwards because it's a fucking toughie. It's a fucking dark, toughy film. But you know,
What I'm getting at from this song, do you care about the song if it helps with the atmosphere and it gets the players into the right,
It still just
okay.
feels
Let me give you a bit
and
more about. Let me tell you.
helps us get the result at the end of the day?
I look at it this way, right? I'm really pleased for the individual, first of all, because the individual's an Arsenal
Lewis.
supporter, and there he is. He's written a song, and it's been embraced. Me personally, as I mentioned, it's not my cup of tea, and I kind of feel that the reason that and this is my opinion, and I might be wrong, but I feel that the only reason that the song has been embraced is because somebody bothered to do one and submit it, and everyone went, "We've got an Arsenal song. It's fucking
well.
great." And
You
I
seen
think,
a dude coming here to the board saying,
you
"Hey,
know,
here's this musician. He's an Arsenal fan. Let's play this song." Then you see him a week later.
but what I'm saying is, you know, maybe someone else could have done a better one. Maybe I could have done an Arsenal rap. I don't know what it would have been like,
It's
but
all about timing, right?
the first line probably would have been a hip hop, a hip hop, because it's a rap song, and that's how all rap songs should start. But I mean,
You're good on my turntables. You might have had a chance, Dan.
I don't know, but you know, it is what it is. If everybody's happy with it, good. I'm not like it should be banned. Get rid of it. Fucking burn it. Fucking fire it into the sun. It is what it is. It's just not
Just
for
leaves
me.
a aftertaste in your mouth.
If
For
you
me,
like it and you're happy with it, good for you. You know,
I
but
like
it just
it.
kind of leaves a aftertaste of mine. I was fine with Sweet Caroline before and after
I didn't
games.
like that either.
You didn't like that
I
either?
didn't like that either. So you know.
No, listen, I like the song. I think if there's any edge you can use that's going to help you get an atmosphere into the stadium and get the opposing team thinking this is a tough place to come to, the crowd's right.
It's just a
into
bit
it now.
hovish to me, you know. Just for some
Yeah.
reason, it's about North London, but for me, when I hear it, I get the connotations of the cobble streets up in Yorkshire with fucking flat caps and chimneys, and a young kid on a bicycle delivering bread, and it's grim up north. And when I were a kid, and when my, you know, all that's what it reminds me of, and I don't get the connection to Arsenal.
George
And-
Graham. There's an old clip of George Graham saying,
So you
"Listen,
Stan's basically
There's an
saying
old
Tiny
clip
Tim.
of George Graham saying that song is shit.
no,
Oh.
listen."
Oh, that's
He's
a shame.
saying, "Listen, sometimes you go up north and you're a goal down already because of the atmosphere in those stadiums." George Graham recognized that, and I think if we do something with our club that helps with the atmosphere, helps us almost be 1-0 up before we even start the game.
Yeah, as I say, I'm not saying burn it. I'm not saying fucking, you know, burn it like they did with the Beatles albums. Burn it. It's evil. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, me personally as an individual, you know, when that song comes on and I'm watching their game, I don't sit there, get all teary-eyed and start singing along. I go and fucking clean out the fucking cat's litter tray or put the kettle on or have a quick slash before kickoff. It's just not, I don't pay attention to it. I don't sit there going, oh, fucking no, not this fucking, you know, I don't hate it. I'm just saying.
Can
It
you
wouldn't have bothered
recognize-
me. It wouldn't have bothered me if the fans were singing it. Then it kind of caught on. But no, here's the club.
It's like, listen, it's like
bringing it to the club.
AFTV. I can't stand AFTV. I don't watch AFTV. I don't like it. But I'm not saying that it should go away because there are other people that do like it, and I'm
Do
not.
you recognize?
I don't want to spoil their fun
Do you
because I
feel
don't
like
like
both
it.
of
I don't
you?
watch it.
Do you feel like both of you are in the minority then?
Oh yeah, because
Yeah.
I've said this on other podcasts, and when it's mentioned, and I'm not afraid to say it. I've been like, well, I've gone, well, I don't like it, and and the
Listen,
other people on the channel have gone,
Tiny Tim, not Tiny
I've gone,
Team.
yeah, I don't fucking like it. They go, oh, well,
I
Stearns,
want to say one. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. That's all I'm
Fucking
going to
right.
say. Everybody is entitled to their opinion.
But what do you feel about basically an advertising team coming in and coming up with stuff for the culture?
Listen, I'd rather fucking have the Nitro girls come out with pom poms and do some shit. I'd be into that. Do you know what I mean? I'd watch the Nitro girls do some shit. I don't know, but I just don't like that song. I'd rather fucking Disco Free come out and do fucking human beatbox, or Dougie Fresh came out and done the human beatbox. I'd be into that. But
Cheerleaders?
I like
What
that
about
fucking
cheerleaders?
song.
Can we have cheerleaders?
Yeah, the Nitro
So,
girls. It's
Tony-
the same shit.
So, Tony, what is this outside advertising agency done?
Well, we've seen that at the team store. They have a thing basically for the culture now. They have a whole category of stuff for sale. I'm sure they probably had something to do with the song Angel. I'm sure they probably had something to do with that.
Isn't that like more of a marketing ploy to sell?
Everyone's ticking boxes, man. We know that. We know it.
And then that's the problem I have with it. Shouldn't our culture be natural instead of having this company say coming in and saying this or that?
They got to keep up with everyone else. Everyone else is doing it. That's what it is. If
How
they
you-
don't do it,
So-
then they'll get lambasted and saying you're not doing enough for this and you're not doing enough for that. You're behind. So what are they going to do? They have to do it. I get it.
So, Tony, when it
What about
comes
having
to-
Robert Perez come in there? He has to earn his gym membership. He can tell everybody about the culture.
when it comes to the songs that have been played by the fans, the Saliba song, right, and the
I don't like that.
I don't like the Saliba song. That just sounds lazy.
But that's
That
natural.
sounds like
You
a
just
lazy
said-
song.
Both
That's
you
just lazy,
just said,
man.
Tony,
They ain't even got any
you
words.
wanted
It sounds like
something
a swarm
natural.
of bees.
And that's natural now, Tony. That's something that's come along. It's natural. The Zinchenko song. Do you not like the Zinchenko song?
I've not heard it.
Zinchenko's
I've not heard
fine.
it. Let me hear
It's
that.
fine.
Repeat. Remind me. How's that go?
It's like the Spandau Ballet Gold. Zinchenko.
But I like the original song, so I'm interested. You piqued my interest already.
Yeah.
Because I grew up in the Spandau Ballet era. So yeah, but the Saliba one is lazy.
Yeah, I
Is
don't
it
like it.
Spandau Ballet is or Duran Duran? I'm not sure. Who sings that gold song?
It takes ages to get to the Saliba bit. It's like, fucking hell, man, get on with it. Herb Alpert in it, Tequila. I don't know. This is one for the Arsenal luchador. I'm sure he knows who it's by.
We could have booked him the nightstand.
Saliba song is
wasn't
a little
available.
bit old. It is a little bit old, but we're going to hear more and more of it, Lolo. We're going to hear more and more of it.
Listen,
don't like
Lolo songs are better to have than that.
That's what I
fucking
thought.
musical shit.
Lolo
They're
comes
much
up with
better.
some pretty good ones.
With that,
And Lolo has good,
you know,
great
as I say,
production
music
value.
is subjective. Music is subjective. It's
The
like
window
movies,
is
right?
closed.
No, it's not closed. It's slammed shut.
The window has slammed shut.
Good thing in Oklahoma we have storm windows, so you have two sets of
Anyway, listen.
glasses those head down.
Let's get away now from
Double-
the fucking. Let's get away from the soundtrack. We spent
Yeah, it was
far too
Martin
much
Kemp.
time on this
It
miserable
was Martin
fucking
Kemp.
song.
Is that Duran Duran or Spandau Ballet?
Spandau, come on.
Martin Kemp.
He was Spandau Ballet, man. The Kemp brothers, and he was in EastEnders.
So how do
Do you know
you
what I
feel
mean?
about this company coming in and
The
trying
window
to
is open.
shape our
Company.
culture?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, the culture thing. Oof. I mean, is it a case of though? Is it because you got to think of it this way, right? You'd think that a team that's been around as long as Arsenal has, right? It's got a museum for fuck's sake. It's right there. What's his team about? Here's a free ticket to the museum. Go in there for a couple of hours, read everything. Job done.
And you always
But
got Robert
maybe,
Perez to tell.
But
He can
is it
come
a
in.
case of that? Remember back in when the lockdown first started, right? There was all the cutbacks. A lot of people lost their jobs. You know, they had to get cut back, and then they rehired people. Maybe they just rehired a load of people that, you know, the people that they fired were probably part of it, part of the fabric. Been there for years. knew everyone. And then maybe when they hired people back, they went down a fucking temping agency and got a load of deadbeats
Yeah,
and
but
felt
they're
like
also trying to give the
maybe
players
felt
that
that
like
something
know
was
all this
missing.
culture stuff. Just walk through, do a stadium tour. You'll know everything.
Or just put them in a chair like that guy in Clockwork Orange where their eyes are open and just play like the fucking Arsene Wenger video, Invincibles, on fucking repeat for 2
That'd
days
be
solid.
great to do that to
You'd
every
know
fan
everything.
in the stadium.
But I
That'd
mean,
be
it
great.
does sound a bit odd that Arsenal has to hire a third party company to come into the club and then tell everybody what the culture is at Arsenal. I think that could have been handled in a better way. I'm sure that there are people connected to Arsenal or who were connected to Arsenal that could have been hired to help with that. You know, maybe you create a position, Arsenal ambassadors. Don't they have that? The fucking WWE has fucking ambassadors. Why aren't we? Robert Perez, other people. I don't know. Emmanuel Petit. There's 2 names right there. And then this is what they do. They help keep making sure that the culture and the history is kept as part of the fabric. Just saying.
Yeah. Ray, what do you think about a company coming in?
Yeah, look, I don't like that they've outsourced that business or that investigative part of it. What does the club need to like a third party? Yeah, I listen. I'm all for developing the culture. I think we've done it most importantly on the playing staff with Mikel Arteta and Per Mertesacker especially,
But this is
recognizing what was
sorry, mate, go
needed.
on.
Recognizing what was needed. We were a social club. The
Hold on,
players,
that's the second part of this culture club thing, Ray.
oh, okay. All right, the playing side, we're going to get into that as well. Okay, the
Yeah.
second part. But yeah, listen, I don't think we need to outsource that part of it to find out what our culture is. The culture is the club, the culture is the fans. And in some ways, you're right, Tony, it should be organic.
I don't know if Arsenal has a mission statement. Most organisations do, and it'd be
Yeah.
interesting to see if we had one, whether it's changed in the last year, or if it hasn't, it will. What's going to happen is this company's going to do their thing, blah 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 blah, and then they're going to present to Arsenal the new face of Arsenal moving forward. Mission statements. It'll be like diversity, fucking pronouns. I don't know, all stuff. It's just everything is fucking wicked. We love everything. We're part of we're down with what's going down at the moment. I'm paraphrasing, but there'll be like mission statements which will clearly tell everybody about how inclusive Arsenal is and how diverse we fucking are and where we're going, blah blah blah. And that's what it is. And we'll pay a company a couple of $100,000 to come in and do that. That's what it is. It's a marketing thing. There'll be a logo with it. There'll be some kind of a fucking artwork and then the bullet points or whatever. If it hasn't happened, it's coming. That's what it is. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing because everybody else is doing it. There are boxes these days when you're a company that need to be checked. And I talk about this from experience because, as you know, I work in the acting field and I see it in my job and I see the bookings that I get and I see the bookings that I get because of what I look like. I don't play no cards, but the production companies perhaps need to have a quota that needs to be filled and I help to fill that quota. Therefore, I get more work than some other people. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, I just don't like it. I don't think you need to bring a company in.
I agree with your tone, but it is the way it is, and I'm not dissing. I'm not dissing it, and I'm not promoting it. I'm just saying this is what I think. Yeah.
So now we're gonna get to what Ray jumped the gun on, the playing side, instead of trying to shape it from within with the players you had. You got Arteta going out, buying Zinchenko, buying Jesus, buying a lot of these captains of national teams like Odegaard, like Sambi, a couple of other players that are high up in the national team standards.
Zinchenko is a captain as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just buying those type of players. So do you like us doing that, or would you rather us try to build from within instead of going out?
You want me to go first then?
Sure. You already started. You can finish.
Got mastermind.
Arsenal have always done this. They've always given opportunities to young players, and they've always promoted from within. But you can't do that in all sectors of the team. Arsenal have always identified as well the best talent to go and get as well. And 20 years ago, 30 years ago, the best talent, and hopefully we're getting back to that. But yeah, we were a culture club, we were a social club. Uh, Players like Hector Bellerin and Mustafi would be hanging out at the club and just picking up wages, living off of the club, and we slowly changed that around through
They're
uh,
still
per
getting pretty good wages, though.
Mertesacker and Mikel Arteta, and we see now what it looked like because we're looking at Manchester United, we're looking at maybe Chelsea going that way, and we've seen what it can be like when your club is not run properly. You turn into a Manchester United. You see those players are not willing to play for the badge, and you recognize it because we recognize it, Tony, because we've been through it, we've seen it.
We seen it last season plenty of times where the team just weren't up for games like Newcastle. That team didn't look half bothered to play that game, knowing it could still a top four spot. So now you go out, you buy a Zinchenko, you buy a Jesus, trying to fix that problem. But it still needs to be the whole team. I don't know if just bringing in a few players does that or not.
Yeah, well, you had players who were from Arsenal. You had Saka. You had homegrown players, Emil Smith Rowe. They've taken the number 7 and the number 10 jersey. You've got Martinelli, who's been there. He's almost a homegrown player. Ramsdale. They've come and adopted the DNA of the club, and now we've built around that by bringing Zinchenko in, Gabriel Jesus, and Saliba.
Stan?
I missed a bit of that, so just give me a recap on the question, please.
The question is, instead of kind of building within, getting the leadership and this winning mentality, we went out buying Zinchenko, buying Jesus, and kind of those other national captain, those type of players, instead of just managing the players you have and building them up.
I
And
think
like last season, we didn't see it because, like Newcastle, the team didn't show up at all. But now we have Jesus and Zinchenko, and you can see the team's firing on all 11 cylinders, as you would say. Just
there's definitely
everything.
been a change in, I think, the strategy of how we're buying players, and you only have to look at, bringing in players like David Luiz, for example, and Willian. It has been a complete change. I think at the time, Mikel Arteta thought, okay, I need some instant results. I'm going to bring in some experienced players. And it didn't work out for him. We brought these guys in from Chelsea, paid them a lot of money. They weren't able to deliver what Mikel Arteta thought that they were going to deliver. So there's been a change, and I think the change has been for the better. I think Edu has probably been instrumental, in that. But Arsenal have always been like that. We've always been like this when we've bought players. You only have to go back to George Graham. I thought George Graham was quite visionary in when he came into management, and just what I was saying earlier about ticking boxes and diversity. George Graham was as diverse as they came, and what I mean is he didn't buy players. He would look for the players that he wanted, but for him, when he was looking at a player, it didn't matter what color they were as long as they did the job. Where there were other managers that would have certain criteria, and this player wouldn't get looked at because of where they came from. Didn't bother George Graham. He looked at them with the job that they could do. Hence, as well, also looking at players in lower divisions that he felt could do a job. Players like Lee Dixon and Steve Bold, coming up from lower divisions, going out and getting Nigel Winterburn. And I like that. And I think Mikel Arteta is has a diverse way of putting his players together now with Adu. And there's definitely been a strategy change. And you only have to look at the team. I mean, we're basically Samba FC, right? There's a big Brazilian sort of Portuguese feeling around the team. You know,
And be even more if we land Neto, be another one on there.
and it doesn't matter whether you're a player coming in from France, Spain, or Portugal or Italy, and you don't have a good grasp of English, because the manager seems to be able to communicate with you in all of those languages. You know,
Yeah.
and I was so impressed with one William Saliba. His English seems to be pretty good for a player that's not been over here for 3 years. He's obviously been going and learning English in his spare time and taking lessons, which to me is another indicator that he obviously wants to be here. But also, Gabriel Martinelli's English, you know, for the short space of time that he's been here, he speaks better English than Kieran Tierney. You know what I mean? So I like to see that these players, this is extra curriculum activities to
Yeah.
sit down and take
Martinelli's
these
that'd be one of
lessons.
those talking
Yeah,
Cockney in
you've
2 years or something.
you've got to find the time to go and take these lessons. You've got to do it in your own time. And it's, you know, and you get a lot of players that don't bother. They just don't want to learn. They don't take these lessons. So it's good
It's
to
a
see
little bit
that.
of a local lingo too. Like I said, you could actually see him talking
Oh yeah,
Cockney in a few seasons or so.
yeah. And you used to get that with some of the players that used to go to Liverpool. There was a couple of Scandinavian players that kind of spoke a Scouse version of English, you know? Jan Mulby was one. So yeah, I like the buying strategy with what we're doing. I like the diversity of players that we have, how we buy. I mean, I'm still waiting to see Fabio Vieira. I know nothing about this guy, so I've got my fingers crossed.
He's a big question mark. It'd be weird if we see him on the right wing.
Really got my fingers crossed to see him play soon, so I can take a look at this guy and see. You know, we spent good money on this guy. You know, this isn't a $7 million £7 million player like a Tavares coming in. This is a guy that we've spent around about 35 million on.
Yeah, we got Europa coming up soon. We got the League Cup when we face Brighton, so got that. But it'd be nice to see him in a league pretty soon, giving Saka some rest.
Yeah, I mean, we overworked Saka. You know, as even you could see, the goalkeeper was constantly kicking the ball out to him over on the right, and it became a bit obvious. So we've got more variety in the team now, Tony. So even if you know, somebody like Saka has a quiet day, we have other players that will pick up the slack, and vice versa. If Martinelli has a quiet day, there's other players that will pick up the slack. What I want to see now is going into the next couple of matches, I'd like to see some goal contributions now from Saka and ESR and also Nketiah. You know,
Yeah, Saka's looked so off of it starting.
If we can get some goals coming from those three players, we will look really rounded as a threat, which will cause teams problems because we have more than one outlet for goals.
Yeah, we seen it with Smith Rowe at one point last year was the most accurate striker of a ball in the Premier League. And he got COVID. We haven't really seen it yet. Arteta hasn't played him much at all this season. Hopefully we start seeing him. Arteta's have to learn how to rotate with players, which he hasn't yet. But it'd be nice to see those players score, especially Eddie, since it doesn't look like we're to go out and get another goal striker, but striker needs to be a priority.
Emil Smith Rowe is one of our most naturally gifted footballers.
But we haven't seen him, right?
No, but last season, a couple of the goals he scored, one up at Old Trafford, none of the other team would have been able to strike that ball. A couple of other goals that he scored.
That's why I don't see why he's not giving Martinelli a rest, or them switching starting games even, or playing in Zaka's role. He could play in that role.
I mean, you know, Gary was protecting Martinelli a few months back when we said
that player that was injured like 2 years ago, and he keeps talking about his injuries.
Yeah. Martinelli is competing straight with Emil Smith Rowe for that left wing position.
And I'm surprised he's getting a nod all the time.
He's beating out Emil Smith Rowe right now because he's got a connection with Gabriel Jesus as well. And Emil Smith Rowe is going to have to fight his way back into the team. But this is what you want.
Or learn Portuguese.
Yeah.
You want this kind
of competition in your team. You want Zinchenko and Tierney competing for that left wing left back spot. You want Tommy Yasu and Ben White competing for that right back spot. And you want your wingers to be competing as well. We want to have a player in that's going to make Saka maybe have to take a game or two off because Bukayo Saka has played too much minutes in the last 2 years. So, are we previewing the Fulham game now? Is that what we're doing, or?
As I see if we wanted to go on to just the upsets of the week in general, or we want to talk about the Europa draw tomorrow, or skip it completely.
I think we can skip the Europa draw. We'll talk about that maybe on Sunday. But it just looks like we should have a very comfortable group, though.
So I use ESPN, so Ray, you can shout the team's positions here. You got Southampton at home versus Man United.
Yep.
What places is that?
11th versus 14th place. So
3
I
points
think-
for Jeopardy.
I think Man United will struggle to follow up a performance like that. They've just beaten Liverpool in their own backyard, and now they've got to travel to Ralph Hasenhüttl's place. They beat Leicester City last weekend.
And it's a hard place to go play at.
It's a hard place to go, and Ten Hag's going to want some kind of consistency and for his team to fight for it again. But Southampton might have just kick-started their season as well, Stan.
Yeah, you never know with Southampton. They're a very inconsistent team. They're just a very inconsistent team. You know, they're never going to do great things, but they've got it in them to sometimes come up with an upset result. One week they could get hammered 9-0. The next week they could go and beat the champions-elect.
Stan, you are actually leading the upset picks as of after week 3. You did pull it out with that Fulham win 3-2 over Brentford last weekend.
Yeah, I quite enjoy playing this game. I started late last year, so I started at
Had
the
you
beginning.
had you finally figured it out? You'd always go for like the teams that were like 1 or 2 points apart. It's like, Stan, you're not gonna gain any points that way.
I was lulling him into a full sense of security, Tony.
He kind of figured it. He kind of figured it out. Now he's got a 1.5.
It's pretty nice. 4 of us within 2.5 points of each other. Pretty close.
Yeah, it's pretty close. Gary's the only one who didn't really pick a winner last weekend. West Ham. West Ham failing him. Okay, Tony, next one up is Chelsea at home.
I'm not going in that order. I'm going what I see on my
All
screen.
right, what have you got?
We got Brentford at home versus Everton. Should be an easy win for Brentford, but see what you two think.
Yeah, I think that'll be an easy win for Brentford. Everton have flattered to deceive so far. Stan?
Yeah, Brentford at home. I think they're
Ivan
probably
Toney.
maybe a draw.
Ivan Toney to score.
Yeah, I think Brentford will. And next, we probably got one of the more interesting games. Would probably be a fun game to watch, surprisingly, is Brighton and Leeds. At what positions, Ray?
Brighton and Leeds. 5th place Brighton takes on 3rd place Leeds United. Can you believe Mr. Tom's getting a nosebleed up there, 3rd place?
Leeds away from home.
Leeds are away from home. And it's a tough place to go to, Stan.
Yeah. Difficult, right? I don't see a Leeds win. I see a Brighton win or a draw.
I think it's a be a draw. Ray, where do you think?
I think Brighton will upset Leeds 1-0.
And next, we got Chelsea at home versus Leicester.
Chelsea at
Kind
home.
of interesting game.
Leicester City will have more sadness. Brendan Rodgers will be crying. I think
Where are
Chelsea.
they at the table, Ray?
12th place Chelsea against 19th place Leicester City.
Leicester could get a draw there.
I don't see anything other than a Chelsea win, to be honest.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah, I think Chelsea should win.
Mr.
Next, we
Tom.
got Liverpool at home versus Bournemouth.
Easy win for Liverpool to get back on track.
Yeah, same.
Easy as in the result. I don't know it's going to be 3 or 4 nil. Stan.
Yeah, this should be a walk in the park for them. They could fill with any team they want. Should be able to win 4 or 5 nil.
If they struggle in this game, then that's a big warning sign that something is really off there.
Four.
So I don't
Yeah.
see anything other than a Liverpool win.
And the next, we got probably the best game of the day: Man City versus Crystal Palace. Man City at home.
I think City will be stung into a performance here. Um, that draw with Newcastle will be smarting on them, and I think they will probably beat Crystal Palace 2-1. It'll be a close game, though.
Yeah, I agree with Ray. It could be a close one. It could be a close one, but I think Man City are probably ripe for a convincing win.
Yeah,
I don't think it'd be convincing. I think City will probably get something in the 80th minute to go ahead by 1 goal.
yeah. 2-1.
We'll skip our game, save it for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday, we got Aston Villa versus West Ham. Both of them way down in the table where they were.
Does
Yeah.
that qualify for that game, Tony, that you always dub?
Yeah, it's definitely the who gives a fuck game of the week.
Yeah.
West Ham fans do care about this game, I would say. They're spending big money on Paqueta, maybe, because they need it. I actually will say West Ham will win that game. What do you think, Stan?
No, I think it's going to be a draw. That one.
Draw.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a draw, and they both need 3 points desperately, so
I
they're
think it
both
might
going to
even
be
be
kind
a
of fucked.
0-0 draw.
Oh, the 0 point game.
Yeah.
Next, we got Wolves versus Newcastle. Wolves at home.
Wolves 18th place at home to Newcastle in 6th place. Interesting for me to understand if Newcastle will play well away from home. This is a tough place to go. I actually
Even
think
get
Wolves.
6 points for a draw. This might be upset.
Yeah,
This
this
is
might be a
this might be
possibility.
I was thinking this could be the upset that I might pick actually. I think I will maybe go for this one.
You don't have to set it in stone right now. Just let me know later.
I think that's the one I'm going to go for, too.
It's a good choice.
It is a good choice. Newcastle having that emotional game against Manchester City, they might just drop a little bit for this game, and Wolves need to do better. I'll take a draw there. I think both of you are kind of interested in that as well.
Yep. I think we'll all probably end up picking them. Next, you got Nottingham Forest versus, as Gary likes to say, that team.
That team, Tottenham. Nottingham Forest playing at home, and Nottingham Forest, one of the teams that have spent a lot of money this summer already. I think they spent more than Arsenal. I think they get a result. I think they get a draw against Tottenham.
I'd like Nottingham Forest to stay up. Big team from my childhood.
Where's Forest at, Ray?
Forest are at home.
No, position wise.
10th place versus
I think Tottenham beat them though.
Yeah, I think Spurs. They haven't looked good. They haven't looked convincing at all, but I still think they'll get it on the road. So now it's us versus our old bogey team. See if they bogey team again. Fulham started the year good.
One of them, right? Fulham.
Yep. They're one of our probably one of the biggest perennial. Them and Southampton.
Not quite a bogey team though. We have done quite well against Fulham
Lately, but before they used 5-6 years ago, they're definitely one of the bogey teams.
I think we have to be careful. Confidence is flowing in the team, but I think I captioned the title of the podcast here. Winning does not come easy. We have to remember this. We're playing teams we should be beating. We're winning games that we should be winning. But we will be in a situation where we go a goal down at some point in the next few weeks, and how we respond to that adversity, how we respond to going a goal down, how we maybe change the game a little bit. If there isn't a plan B that's obvious in the team, then do we change the formation a little bit? Do we play two up top? I think we tried to do a little bit of that against Bournemouth. Mitrovic is a very dangerous player. He scored something like 43 goals in 48 games last season in the Championship. And he flattered to deceive the last time he was in the Premier League. And I think he's come to the Premier League now with a point to prove. We need to be careful. And it's a good test for William Saliba. William Saliba, if he can keep him quiet. Mitrovic is probably going to want to drift on to one of our fullbacks. I do hope that Tommy Asu comes back and Kieran Tierney come back for this game. But with all that being, notwithstanding, right, and with all of that being said, we should win 3-1. I think I'll go with 3-1. I was tempted to go 3-2, but I'll go 3-1.
I'm tempted to go 4-2.
4-2 for you.
Yeah, I think the home advantage is going to serve us well. I think it's going to be another Arsenal win.
Love it.
So do we want to wrap up and do our final thoughts, or do we want to do the midweek games real quick? Since Ray likes to skip those.
I need to go, Tony.
We'll wrap it up then.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up. 4-0 to the Arsenal. Maybe the Luchador makes an appearance. Who knows?
That would be nice. We haven't seen him in a season and a half.
Sideways explores Ramsdale near post. Yeah. So listen, Tony, take us out of here with the final thoughts section.
Yep. We'll start with your final thoughts, Ray.
Listen, I want to say thanks to Stan last Thursday night for hosting, Gary on Sunday, and now Tony done an admirable job, even though I tried to hijack it very early on, but I got checked by Stan in the private chat there. Thank you, Stan.
And I checked you too, Ray.
We have to be careful here. We have to take it one game at a time, but we want to remain contenders as much as possible and not be pretenders. And if we don't get all 3 points on Saturday, we'll be more pretenders than contenders. So let's keep it going. I don't think Saliba, Zinchenko, or Gabriel Jesus will allow standards to drop. And I think we're looking for Mikel Arteta to start rotating players a little bit more through substitutions. Stan?
I'm looking forward to seeing our run continue. I don't think that this is a fixture that's going to stop our run at the moment. Really looking forward to the next game. And onwards and upwards. Thank you to everybody that came in to the chat this evening. And
we've all been having our say, Tom. Hush.
Really? Okay. Cheers, Tom. And thanks for Tony for hosting.
Yes. Thank you, Stan, for joining. All right, Tony. You give the final thoughts to your own hosted show.
My own hosted show. Thanks, Ray, for having me host. Thanks, Stan, for joining. Thanks, all the chat, for joining in. Sorry I couldn't chat with you guys as much as I usually do. Trying to keep Ray on track, kind of stay on track. Doing little previews of segments we're going to do later on, but we got through it.
It's a little different, Tony, isn't it, hosting?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to fit in with times and that stuff, but it's still enjoyable. But other than that, I haven't felt good the last few days. Started taking the chemo drug again for my lupus. So that kind of takes my energy. But coming in and do this, always enjoyable, always a nice escape. I think everybody might spend a little too much time on social media and doing this or that. But just go out and enjoy what you like to do. If you like watching movies all day, if you like watching wrestling, whatever, just go do it. If you like sitting here talking with us, then come do it a couple of times a week.
Yep. Definitely.
And put a like down there for fuck's sake.
Do what? A like. Put a like
Yeah.
down there. Yeah. Yeah. All right. We'll leave it there. Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Dan.
And
Thank
now
you.
it's time for my favorite part. Good night, Tony.
Good night, Tony. Thank you,
Say good
everybody
night,
in the chat box for
Tony.
joining us tonight. Leave a comment on the podcast, what you thought about it. We will interact more and more.
And hit the backstage pass if you want to talk with me
Backstage.
and Ray, since Stan will be cutting off.
It's in there. Yeah, drop it in. We'll see you in a little bit if after the lights go out. So we're out of here. Let's get 3 points tomorrow. Four in a row would be nice. Come on, you Gooners. We are out of here.